Welcome to a place for those in search of truth and conviction, a place where we discuss culture, politics, philosophy, and everything in between. I'm Luke, and I'm here with Russ. This is Hardly Strictly Politics.
Hell yes, dear listener. The HSP Boys are back in the saddle once again for episode number 55. Thank you so much for jumping in the saddle with us. 55, dear listener, our double nickel episode. Officially halfway through our 50s and on up to 60. Can you believe it? 2 separate continents, 2 separate countries, 2 separate adult beverages, just to make it fair, and 2 separate cups of coffee fee, 2 separate fact shamings, 2 separate trails to the same inevitable conclusion. 55, dear listener. 55 is a number in the Fibonacci sequence. Check this out, dear listener. Add together 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on up until you hit the number 10. Guess what the sum is? It's 55. The HSP Boys can't drive 55, and if we did, this show would only last 1 hour. You know what else? You know what else 55 means, dear listener? That means we got 55 miles to ride on this trail right here, right now, so let's not tarry. Let's saddle up and ride into episode number 55, which is in the house, presently. Find us on Facebook at Zero Gravity Med. Same thing on Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. Send us email at feedback@zero-gravity-media.com. That's feedback at zero-gravity-media.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and TuneIn, all 4 under Zero Gravity Media. And dear listener, you can also find us on Podbean, so check us out there. Find us on YouTube, look for Zero Gravity Media and our Zero G logo. Leave us some feedback using the contact form at our website. That's zero-gravity-media.com and zero-gravity-media.com/contact. Shorter intros continue by popular request. So shorter intros means that we only call out one city. And that city, the magic of this city, is the city with the most HSP listens in the previous week. So without any further ado, the city with the most HSP listens in the previous week is... All right, dear listener, we're getting a lot of ties here lately. And this week we have a 3-way tie. We've got College Station, Texas. Howdy, one mo again, College Station. Let's beat the hell out of Auburn today. We've got Ashburn, Virginia. As always, Ashburn. How's it going, Laura Ingram? Tucker? How's it going, Mark Levin? Thank y'all so much for chopping it up with the HSP Boys once again, Ashburn. And new to the trail this week, we've got Goodyear, Arizona in the house. What's going on, Goodyear? I know your town very well. It's so comfy. So welcome to this trail. Also new to the trail this week, dear listener. Together, we have colonized Curacao. Welcome to the trail, Curacao. See there? HSP Boys know how to pronounce the name of your very fine country. Howdy, Curacao, and welcome. Super comfy, beach comfy, Caribbean comfy. Let's drink a Mai Tai together for episode number 55, Curacao. And anytime you want to invite the HSP Boys to your country to host a show, we're down like 4 flat tires, Curacao. You believe that. Thank you so much and welcome. What do you got to say about that, Luke? Curacao.
That's awesome, dude. I'm going to be up in their hood. I'm actually reading a book right now about the history of the Caribbean because I'm going to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm doing a cruise here in a couple weeks in the Caribbean. So anytime I travel somewhere, I want to understand it. So I'm reading about it. I think, did we talk about that on the last show?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But whatever the case. Yeah.
Man, Luke, I'm running a little bit low on liquor this week. Dear listener, I looked all around for my flask before we jumped up into the saddle together, and I couldn't find my flask anywhere, so I might have to take a couple of nips off yours this week, if that's okay. We got a long trail, so if you could just pass the flask to me every now and then, I would be most appreciative. Thank you, dear listener. Thank you. All right, so how are we going to do this? I mean, actually, you know what it is, Luke? I mean, here, you're looking at my screen right now. I'm screen sharing with Luke right now for this episode, dear listener, because we're going to kind of keep in touch with the Aggie game as we're trying to pull off this show. But Luke, I'm tabbing through these right now. I've got this many video clips. I mean, honestly, dude, we could do an entire show of just video clips this week. This has been a sound drop kind of week. You know what I'm saying? It has. So we're set for audio breaks, but we got to keep the audio breaks short this week, dear listener, because Luke and I got business for this game today. So there's that.
Yeah, for sure. This is going to be, we're going to do a pretty quick show this week. We're at like 1.5 to 2 hours. And then I'm going to be in Texas next week. So on Tuesday. And so we're going to be in the same time zone, which happens once a year. So we're going to do another show on Wednesday. So we're going to do like a short show today. We'll do another short show on Wednesday. and then I don't know. We'll see what our schedules permit thereafter. But yeah, dude. I guess we haven't even talked about this, Russ. But I guess I'm gonna have to buy the internet package for a day when we're on our cruise, and I'm gonna be riding the trail from a ship in the middle of the Caribbean.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's comfy, man. We can do that.
Yeah.
We can make that work. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think that'd be fun, actually.
Yeah, totally, man. So yeah, very good. And man, I've got to get down to see y'all while you're here, and maybe we can even do a live in-person show for the first time ever. You know, so yeah, maybe around 57. Yeah, something like that.
That would be
58.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, dude, I cannot wait for you to be back to your home, to the Lone Star State. I'm serious, man. I'm so happy for you. You're gonna love it. But as you know, I ain't got to tell you, but you're just gonna love it. That's it, dude. You're gonna love it. So,
yeah, I can't wait, man.
Yeah. So, well, man. All right. So, hold up. Okay. I've got an emergency here, dear listener. My computer is fixing to die, but I made it great again. Everything's okay. Sorry about that. So, yeah.
No worries, dude.
Yeah. So, I don't know, Luke. You're sitting again, dear listener. I'm screen sharing with Luke right now so that we can kind of watch this game. Luke, you see my topics here. I've got immigration.
Yeah.
I've got Omar coming. I've got Californication. I've got gun control. And I've got this whistleblower shit, which is just absolutely hilarious, man. Oh my God. Absolutely hilarious. What you got? What you got in the docket this week?
Yeah, I've got 4 topics. I've got GM walking out on factories and the strike. It's just the union strike. GM walkout brings factories and warehouses to standstill. Saudi Arabia has no excuses for its military failures. Tulsi Gabbard, we are not your prostitutes. I'm sure you saw this, Russ.
I did.
And and then the climate experts.
Oh yeah, there's the
so-called
Aggie Dan. You see it?
Oh yeah, it's looking good, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Sorry, dear listener. Sorry. This might be a little bit of a distracted episode, but we're gonna do our very best to stay focused and maintain frame. And yeah, you know what? I didn't put those in my show prep, but I know about all those topics as well, man. I think that this strike is an absolute shit show, man. The Teamsters have joined this strike now. It's just not UAW, United Auto Workers. It's also the Teamsters striking in solidarity, you know? And yeah. What a mess, man. This Iran situation is a mess. The Saudi Arabia situation is a mess. Although I do see deeper logic going on with Iran. Dear listener, we're not going to go to war with Iran. It's not going to happen. I promise you this, okay? War is not coming. No matter what you hear, no matter what the neocons want, it's not going to happen, okay? But I don't really want to talk about that so much. Do you want to talk about it?
I'm good, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Let's just jump into it, dude. Let's go into your first topic.
All right. So I got immigration on the. Well, you know what? I've got whistleblower here at the bottom of the stack. Let's talk about this whistleblower business here first, okay? I've got a piece here from the caller. I'm going to take it from the lead. It goes thus. CNN analyst Phil Mudd blasted an unidentified intelligence community official as a snitch Wednesday for reportedly filing a complaint against President Donald Trump over an alleged phone call with a foreign leader. During an interview with CNN's Fredo, Mudd, a former FBI and CIA official, responded to a report from the Washington Post about a mysterious whistleblower complaint that involved a call in which Trump made a, quote, promise to a foreign counterpart. Now, I've got this audio queued up. Let's see if I can track it down real quick. Look at all these tabs, Luke. What a mess. Man, what a mess. Well, you know what? Let's do it this way. We'll do it the old-fashioned way, man. We'll do it live. All right, here's this clip right here. Take a listen to this, Luke.
Boy, I'm about ready to blow a gasket. Can you explain? That is extremely unusual. And I listened to presidential phone calls when I was an official at the White House under George W. Bush in 2001. Can you explain to me, A, why it's the U.S. intelligence community's responsibility to listen to the president of the United States speaking to a foreign leader, and B, why the U.S. intelligence community, under the rules provided by the Democrats in Congress, are responsible to report to the Congress what the President of the United States says. Last I checked, Chris, when I served, we're responsible for chasing the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, and terrorists. We're not responsible for reporting to the Congress what the president says. He can say what he wants, Chris.
So you don't like that somebody snitched on the president?
Correct. The question, if you have a whistleblower issue in the intelligence community, might be, is somebody misusing funds? For example, is somebody seeing something about covert action overseas, that is CIA operations overseas, that's inappropriate? For example, when I was in the business, we ran black sites, secret facilities. Did somebody see something that was not only unethical and immoral, but
In-house
illegal?
policing.
Correct.
All right. So,
not what does the president say?
all right, but now hold on a second. Well, what if he did say something to a foreign leader that sounded like a promise that went over the line enough that somebody of good conscience said he's not supposed to say things like that?
Okay, let's stop it right here. Do you see what's going on right here, dear listener? Fredo Cuomo is justifying spying on the president. Do you understand what he's saying there? Okay, well, I mean, if you see something, say something. What's wrong with spying on the president in his calls with foreign leaders? Now, dear listener, I hearken you back to the transcript with Trump's conversation with the Australian Prime Minister being leaked, Trump's conversation with the president of Mexico being leaked back in 2017. Okay, do you see what is going on here? We have confirmation of how the government constantly spies on Trump. Do they have a FISA warrant? How is this not treason? Where's the warrant? Where is the FISA warrant to spy on the president? Why is Fredo Cuomo, why does he have the temerity to justify spying on the president? Now, Philip Mudd right here, dear listener, okay, he says, boy, I'm about to blow a gasket. Philip Mudd is a shitlib. He's not a conservative by any stretch of the imagination. He has served exclusively in liberal administrations. Why is he fixing to blow a gasket? Well, I'll tell you why, dear listener. Because the exact mechanism that was Spygate has just been exposed once again, and they're trying to create another Spygate, right? They lifted the veil entirely that they're spying on the president. That's what Philip Mudd is pissed off about. It's not about the fact that the president is being spied on. It's about the fact that they showed their hand in spying on the president. Disgraceful. Hey, how is this not treason? Luke, how is this not treason? For real.
Wait, so repeat that again. So he's mad, not that they spied, but that what now? Like, sorry, I didn't really catch that.
Okay. I probably wasn't clear because I got triggered. It goes like this. Okay. All right. What Mudd is pissed off about, okay, is this. There is a government whistleblower that has been eavesdropping on the president's phone calls. Okay. And he came out and said, oh, yeah, the president might have said something to somebody at some point in time that was a little bit over the line. And the mainstream media all jumped on it, right? And they're trying to create another Spygate out of it. What they knew in their mind of minds at the time that this whistleblower, quote unquote, leaked was that President Trump was colluding one mo again with Vladimir Putin. Okay. Well, it turns out that's not the case. This is actually much more hilarious. And we're going to get there in just a sec, dear listener, about what's really going on with this. But what they did, Luke, is that they proved that Spygate was a spying operation on the president by leaking once again. And then by Fredo right here trying to come out and justify this leak. Well, why is it not okay to spy on the president? Right? Do you see they've cucked their entire Spygate narrative with this narrative?
Yeah, no, I get that. But what's Mudd? What were you saying that Mudd takes issue with?
Mudd takes issue with the fact that he is no conservative. He is a liberal. He takes issue with the fact that the mainstream media is justifying this because they're ratting out Spygate. Right? He's trying to shout them down about, oh, let's don't go there. Let's don't go admitting that we spy on the president. That's what it is. He's not pissed about the fact that President Trump was spied on. He's pissed about the fact that the liberal media came out and admitted it. That's what's going on here, right?
I see what he's saying. Yeah.
He's trying to virtue signal about the president can say anything he wants. He can talk to anybody he wants. He can tweet anything he wants. He's trying to virtue signal, in the guise of being in the defense of the president, but that's not really what's going on. He's trying to stop the floodgates, right? Because
totally.
We just found out everything we ever needed to know about Spygate. Fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is, again, like, as is always the case, the left, they just can't help themselves. I think that they're exposing themselves to a lot of risk here. I mean, there's just so much to say. They're exposing themselves to a lot of risk. There's not a lot to gain because all Trump was doing was just encouraging them to investigate Biden's son. I don't, like, how is that controversial?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, Biden should be careful because, I mean, who knows what could come out of that.
Right.
And, and then the left, they're like, oh, this is, we need to impeach him and we need to do all this other stuff because, he's trying to damage a political candidate, use a foreign country or another country to damage a political candidate. It's like, what have they been doing for the last 2.5 years?
Right.
The audacity of them to accuse somebody else of doing that is just insanity.
That's
you
what
have
they
to be
always
a complete idiot to not see this as that at face value without knowing anything else about it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, exactly so, man. But this is what the left always does. Whatever it is of which they accuse you, dear listener, that's exactly what they're doing, always. And once again, as Luke just obviated, this fact is laid bare once again. Oh, my God. They were like piranha, Luke. Absolutely like piranha in the water, smelling the chum in the water, going after it like little bitty piranhas. And, oh, boy, did it backfire. Oh, man.
Yeah, it always backfires. The last 3 years of the left has been one giant backfire.
Hasn't it, though?
I think it's hilarious.
I do, too.
Hillary backfired.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just this whole Hillary backfired and everything they've done ever since then has backfired.
Yes, sir.
Dude, I was at an offsite with my company. There's I'm part of this like small task force where we're like reworking some business models and stuff for a couple of our products. But, so this group of people, there were 8 of us, and they were, they're pretty high up in the company. So like, they're pretty well educated. They're pretty in the know. And I'm sitting at dinner. I'm sitting next to the CEO of our company, who's like really in the know. He's like second degree connection to Merkel sort of thing.
Dang.
Yeah, for sure. And so we were they were asking me about politics, and in those sorts of situations, I really don't. I sort of state facts and let them assume value judgments. I don't just come. I don't show my power level straight away. And they asked me. They were like, "So what? Like, how do Americans feel about Trump?" And I was like, say what you will, but like, there's been 2 things that's going on with him, and people are. They told me, does anybody regret having voted for him? I was like, no. I was like, have you been on Twitter? I was like, go on Twitter. It's like the people who voted for him are like now on Twitter with triple American flags and MAGA and, America first and this. And I was like, he has totally energized his base, but he's also totally energized the opposition as well. And I was like, but, and they were like, do you think he'll get reelected? I was like, yeah, I think he's going to get reelected. And they all just started immediately nodding. They were like, yeah, he's going to get reelected. All of them.
No way. Wow.
Every single one of them. They were like, yeah, he's going to get reelected.
Wow.
And then they were like, why do you think he's going to get reelected? And I said, I was like, because the left they've just become batshit crazy.
Uh-huh.
And nobody likes them anymore.
Yeah.
And anyways, I just it's this sort of stuff. Oh man, did they just score?
Yeah, they did. There were plenty of penalties there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's this sort of stuff that's going on with like Ukraine and everything. Just the casual observer just knows how full of it that the left is and how much of a backfire this has been. That even people in Europe who probably, those people I was with probably otherwise don't like Trump very much, but even they're like, he's going to get reelected just because of what the left in America has become.
Right.
Even Europeans understand that.
Can I ask you, what was their value judgment of Trump Are they Trump trained? Or do they hate Donald Trump? Are they Trump balloon flyers? You know, what was their personal opinion of the president?
You know, you could tell nobody wanted to get too into the weeds about it.
Okay.
Yeah. One guy was who knows a lot about China because we do a lot of business in China. He was like, you have to hand it to him. He was like, China needed that coming. Somebody had to do that to China, and Trump did it. You have to hand it to him with respect to that. And then he also said something about something in Trump's domestic policy. I can't remember what, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, they were like, you have to hand it to Trump for that. So they're kind of, I don't know, they're pretty fair, I would say. Okay. But you know, Europe is just different, man. It's just way different.
Right.
So it's kind of some people. It's hard to pin them down. It's hard to pin their politics. Like for example, they don't get feminism. They don't even understand it. It's like there's no feminist culture here.
Huh.
Like our IT guys, when I got hired, when I went in there for the first time, I mean, they had a calendar with naked chicks up on the wall.
Really? Oh yeah. My God.
and a life-size cardboard cutout of Slave Leia in their office. And I went in there later. I was like, where'd the naked chicks go? And they're like, well, you know, we got a girl working in the office, so we decided we should probably get rid of it. But they kept the Slave Leia cardboard cutout. And I mean, dude, that would never, I mean, this is like a professional office work environment. Like that would never fly in America.
Yeah, you're going straight to HR if you even dare to think about that. You'll get thought crimed on your way to HR if you even just think about it.
Yeah, so like so things like feminism and social justice, it's just lost on them. They don't get it. They don't care. They don't get it. They don't understand it. But things like things like environmentalism, they're like, they can't understand how you wouldn't agree. I mean, they just buy into it wholesale. So it's hard, man. It's hard to put your finger down or pin them down politically.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, that's actually reasonable. That's the way the United States kind of used to be I would say, George Bush. You know what I mean? Now, not so much. Well, that's not true. That's not true. I'm sorry. I strike all that. All of that is false. All of it. Yeah, but like, I don't know. Let me ask you this. Is there a sense of consequence in Europe for revealing your power level, for revealing your politics, anything like that? Is there or is it a sense of courtesy that people don't want to offend other people with their politics? Like,
it's definitely, there's definitely a courtesy factor there. Okay. I think that, yeah, I would say definitely in Europe, there's still that sort of courtesy factor, and they're just not crazy about like American leftists are, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like even European, like, I don't know, a couple of Jessica's friends are like super hardcore environmentalists, and like, they'll kind of probe a little bit. They'll make a little comment. And if you don't respond positively, then they'll just not make, you know, like we were talking about Texas, and she was like, oh, you know, well, with the hurricanes, they're going to be increasing, and I didn't say anything, and neither did Jessica, and she didn't bring it up again, you know? So it's like, when they get the vibe that you're not really on board with that, or at the very least you don't care, then they just move on, you know? Whereas in America, it's like, and yeah, don't you agree? Don't you agree that, you know, climate change is going to destroy our country within 12 years? Yeah. Well, no, not really. What? You don't agree with that? You know, you can't even have a conversation, and you know, they're so rude. So no, Europeans are very much more, I wouldn't say hush hush, but they're definitely more polite, and there's not freedom of speech here either. So, you know, people don't just go running around revealing their power level at every turn because it's just not in their culture. Things like politics are very private here still.
Huh. I like it, man. I like it very much.
Like even Jessica's mom, you know, like we talk about politics and stuff and make jokes, but not really. You know, we don't have like deep conversations or anything about it.
Huh.
They know I do a political podcast, and they're, you know, interested in what I think about things, but we don't really have deep conversations about it or anything.
Huh. Yeah, I like it, man. I mean, it's certainly less volatile than what we're seeing in the United States right now.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like the United States in the 1990s. I mean, but like Europe basically is the United States in the 1990s in more ways than one.
Yeah.
Culturally, technology. I mean, in terms of housing building standards, it's more like 1920s United States, which they're proud about.
Yeah.
But anyways, dude, we should move on. But yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I was just saying all that just to show that like this leftist, you know, all these things that they're doing backfiring. It's so egregious that even in Europe, even Europeans understand how insane it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I like that, man. All right, well, let's close out this little whistleblower disaster for the left. So President Trump, are we cool? You cool with the whistleblower thing, man? You want to ride with that?
Yeah, dude.
All right,
for sure.
All right, here we go. All right.
I mean,
President Trump, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, the only if we're to make a what's gonna happen next sort of prediction with this, I think that they'll take this as far as they can without also jeopardizing Biden's. Although maybe they want to jeopardize Biden's.
Exactly. That's my prediction. I think that they're going to throw Biden under the bus with this. I think they're going to finally report on what's going on with Biden in Ukraine.
But they can't throw Biden under the bus without throwing Obama under the bus.
Exactly. They'll try to isolate Biden as a unique lone actor acting out of greed. But yeah, this takes down Obama when they do it. Yeah.
Maybe this is why Obama hasn't endorsed him.
Exactly. Maybe this is why Obama has been so quiet, except for, shouting out, Greta Thunberg and things like this. For the most part, he has been so quiet. Yeah. The climate strike, man, that's another thing. I clipped things about that, and you know what? It didn't go into my OneNote. There you go. I had the climate strike. Oh, well.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Oh, Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
What do you think about her, man?
Oh, dude, the last time you asked me that question, it was about 4 episodes back, and I had to cut all of it out because I got really triggered. I'm not going to talk shit about a 16-year-old. That's the bottom line. But I think that she seems like she has Down syndrome or maybe fetal alcohol syndrome or something.
She's got Asperger's.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, and I saw a bunch of polls threads asserting she had FAS.
Huh. Really? Okay.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. That was like all over the place this weekend. All the images, like putting her face up next to the. You've probably seen it on poll, like the drawing of a child with FAS, and like pointing out the similarities.
Yeah, I just pulled that out of the blue, dude. I didn't know.
No, I was reading. I was reading about all that this morning. I mean, it's just poll LARPing is all it is, trolling and LARPing. But dude, speaking of trolling, and I mean, is that all you wanted to say about it? Because I just remembered something that we should talk about. So a poll troll.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Did you hear about this that went down in Boston?
What was it?
It was they launched poll. I'm pretty sure it's poll. Robert actually asked me about it, and I found a poll thread. They were like, "Well done, guys." So I guess it must have been poll.
It's always poll. It's always poll.
Yeah, and it had the poll MO written all over it. They went around Boston putting these signs everywhere saying that Islam is right about women.
No, I didn't hear about that, but that's, man, oh my God, man, Poll, you stay great. You stay awesome, Poll. You stay awesome, right? They're going to come shut you down at some point in time, but stay awesome in the meantime.
Islam is right about women. It's such a brilliant, it's the same thing as it's okay to be white, because
exactly.
If you're going to argue against this one with Islam, it's now you're saying Islam is wrong. So right. You're either sexist against women or you have to agree that Islam is wrong about that, which the left can't do either, which is hilarious.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Islam is right about women.
Oh my God. Yeah, I missed that ride, man. I wasn't on that one, but like I was thinking earlier.
Yeah, that was last night, actually.
Oh, okay. I reflect often about things, rides I've taken on pole. He will not divide us. Remember that whole thing? That was
Windu.
Yeah, Windu. That's the epicest. Tay, you remember Tay? That was pretty
epic. That one was my favorite. Tay was my favorite.
Yeah, I was F5 all day at work watching what was going on there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Ebola Chan. There are too many. There are too many to name. You know what I mean? There are just too many. So it's man, you're here forever. I tell you what, you're here forever.
Here you go, dude. I've got an article, Boston 25 News. A slew of controversial signs posted across one local town has been drawing more confusion than outrage. In Winchester, signs that read, "Islam was right about women," has residents scratching their heads to figure out exactly what the poster meant by those words. No.
What did he mean by this?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they're not scratching their heads wondering what the poster means, or what the poster meant by those words. They're scratching their heads going, God,
refutation.
Yeah. Do I agree? Do I disagree? I'm so confused. Winchester police and upset residents spent a good part of their Wednesday afternoon removing signs from several poles across town. While offensive to some, police said that while it's technically illegal to post anything on a street sign, it's a tough law to enforce due to freedom of speech, and because the signs in question aren't threatening, police say it's like posting a sign about a lost cat. I assume it's negative, said Dorothy Kruger, a resident. That's not cool. That's not a cool thing to do. Notice like the vague statements. It's not like Islam was wrong about women. It's not that. It's not yeah, I agree. It's just negative. It's not cool,
Oh man, well played. Masterful. Masterstroke. Oh man.
What's the score now, Russ?
7-0. We just turned over the ball, and it's not looking good right now. Yeah. So yeah. Our friend in Boston says hello. While we're talking about Boston, she texts checking on us, and she says hello. So yeah. So.
Oh, good.
And she's mad.
I really don't.
She's mad.
While many say they are offended and bothered by the signs, others say they don't really know how to feel about them since the signs don't make a lot of sense. Quote, "I really don't know because everybody has their own opinion and I respect it," said Saida Tassina Mahmood, who is Muslim. Everybody's entitled to say whatever they want.
Huh. Oh my God.
Shakilu Rahman, the Imam of the Islamic Center of Burlington, says, "What is the intent behind it and what are we trying to prove by putting it on this poll so ambiguously? There's not a lot of clarity in it. I hope the person was trying to encourage people to look it up, maybe, or research it." I don't think that that lacked clarity. I don't think there was anything confusing about that. Pretty sure we all know exactly what that sign meant.
Yes, sir. Oh, man. Epic.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'm glad you told me. No, I didn't know anything about that, man. But, thank you. Thank you for red pilling me and informing me about it. That's good. That's good stuff.
All right. So what do we got next, man?
Well, let's close out this whistleblower thing. So here's the narrative right here. Donald Trump had a press conference yesterday before all the facts were really in. Let's listen to his audio here real quick and listen to what he has to say about it.
You want to address this whistleblower story, sir? You want to address this whistleblower story?
What story?
The whistleblower, whether it was
Ridiculous story. It's a partisan whistleblower. They shouldn't even have information. I've had conversations with many leaders that are always appropriate. I think Scott can tell you that. Always appropriate, at the highest level, always appropriate. And anything I do, I fight for this country. I fight so strongly for this country. It's just another political hack job. That's all it is.
On that point, did you discuss Joe Biden, his son, or his family with the leadership?
It doesn't matter what I discuss, but I will say this. Somebody ought to look into Joe Biden's statement because it was disgraceful, where he talked about billions of dollars that he's not giving to a certain country unless a certain prosecutor is taken off the case. So somebody ought to look into that, and you wouldn't because he's a Democrat. And the fake news doesn't look into things like that. It's a disgrace. But I had a great conversation with numerous people. I don't even know exactly who you're talking about, but I had a great conversation with numerous people, numerous leaders, and I always look for the conversation that's going to help the United States the most. That's very important.
Do you know the identity of the whistleblower? Do you know the identity?
I don't know the identity of the whistleblower. I just hear it's a partisan person, meaning it comes out from another party. But I don't have any idea. But I can say that it was a totally appropriate conversation. It was actually a beautiful conversation. And this is no different than, the press has had a very bad week with Justice Kavanaugh and all of those ridiculous charges and all of the mistakes made at the New York Times and other places. You've had a very bad week, and this will be better than all of them. This is another one. So keep playing it up because you're going to look really bad when it falls. I guess I'm about 22-0, and I'll keep it that way.
Well said, Mr. President. And man, it's been a whirlwind of a week, Luke. I forgot all about the whole Kavanaugh controvery coming up. That broke immediately after we hit the black button last week. Immediately. Yeah.
I forgot about that too. But I mean, that got new. I mean, it's just amazing, dude. They can't do anything right. The left is they're just a lost people.
So true. So true. And do you see what's going on here, dear listener? Right? Like, they're coming at President Trump about oh my God, did you have this conversation? Did you mention Joe Biden? Oh my God. And President Trump turns it right around on him. Well, you know what? You should probably look into this for yourselves because, there was some corruption going on here, but you're not going to because he's a Democrat and it's disgraceful. You've had a bad week with this whole Kavanaugh thing. And meanwhile, what he's doing is red-pilling the masses about Joe Biden. I got a Zero Hedge piece here. I want to take it from the lead. The title, the headline, is Trump pounces on Biden-Ukraine scandal as whistleblower story flips on Dems. Here it is from the lead thus. President Trump and his social media team have seized on allegations that Joe Biden abused his position as vice president to strong-arm Ukraine into firing its top prosecutor, already reported in these hallowed halls, dear listener, if I may say, which I do, who is a leading wide-ranging investigation into Biden's son, Hunter, and the natural gas firm that paid him $50,000 per month, despite his total lack of experience. While the Biden-Ukraine story has been simmering for the better part of 5 years under the firm MSM lid, the scandal has been thrust into the spotlight after the MSM peddled a scandalous whistleblower story in which partisan G-Man reported that Trump made promises to a foreign leader that were inappropriate. Now we come to find out that the conversation was with Ukraine's new president, Zelensky, about reopening the Biden investigation and that it did not contain a quid pro quo. And while Democrats' hopes of finally nailing Trump appear to be melting into their sea of Russiagate tears, Trump is now capitalizing on the turnabout bigly. Well said, Tylers. Exactly what Luke and I just said. We couldn't agree more. Oh, man, it's glorious. You're so right, Luke. The left they just can't get together. They can't do anything right. Everything they try fails, man. Green New Death, fail. Kavanaugh, fail. Russia, Spygate, fail, right? What else we got, man? I mean,
dude, everything. Because everything that they try to do is, I mean, if you're going to try to fake reality, if you're going to try to depart from reality, like if you're as egregious as the left is about it, then of course you're going to, it's going to end terribly.
Yeah. And speaking of departing reality, we're going to read the last two paragraphs from this piece. It goes thus. On Friday, Biden issued a statement calling on Trump to release a transcript of his July phone call with Zelensky. If these reports are true, then it means that Trump used the power and resources of the United States. The United States to pressure a sovereign nation, a partner that is still under direct assault from Russia, pushing Ukraine to subvert the rule of law in the express hope of extracting a political favor. You lose, Joe. You've lost. You cannot. Oh my God, Luke. Once again, whatever the left accuses you of is exactly what they're doing. What Joe Biden right here is accusing President Trump of doing is what he did in Ukraine. Exactly what he did to the benefit financially of his son, Hunter Biden, to the tune of $50,000 per month in Burisma. Is it Burisma? Yeah, it's Burisma. It's Burisma. Yeah. Insane, man. Insane. Being appointed to the board of directors, comes in, Biden rolls in. Yeah, you fire your top prosecutor, right? You do it right now, and son of a bitch, they did it, right? What was Biden's motive for this? Because they were investigating the corruption in Hunter Biden sitting on the board of Burisma with no experience, getting paid $50,000 per month for nothing. They were investigating these corrupt political ties. Joe Biden rolls over there, demands that he be fired. And they did it because there was a $1.5 billion grant from the International Monetary Fund at stake, and Biden threatened to take it away from Ukraine. Did they not fire their top prosecutor? Which they did, right? They did. That is corruption right there, dear listener. That's what it is. Right? It's not President Trump talking with Zelensky saying, yeah, you need to check out this Biden shit, man. That's some pretty rank stuff. You need to check this out. That's not corruption. President, as Philip Mudd says, the president can say anything he wants. He can ask anything he wants. He can tweet anything he wants. That's not corruption. This right here about Biden is corruption. And meanwhile, the president just red pills more and more and more thousands of people by the day. Oh, man. Oh.
Yeah.
I love it. So that's about all I got on this whistleblower thing, unless you got anything else, man.
Nah, dude, that's it. That's it on my end, yeah.
All right. So I picked topic 1. What you got for topic 2, man?
Let's do the GM walkout.
Okay. Good.
All right, so I've got a piece from the AP here. More than 49,000 members of the United Auto Workers went on strike Monday against General Motors, bringing more than 50 factories and parts warehouses to a standstill in the union's first walkout against the number one U.S. automaker in over a decade. Workers left factories and formed picket lines shortly after midnight in the dispute over a new 4-year contract. The union's top negotiator said in a letter to the company that the strike could have been averted had the company made its latest offer sooner. The letter, dated Sunday, suggests that the company and union are not as far apart as the rhetoric leading up to the strike had indicated. Negotiations continued Monday in Detroit after breaking off during the weekend. But union spokesperson Brian Rothenberg said the two sides have come to terms on only 2% of the contract. We've got 98% to go, he said on Monday. Asked about the possibility of federal mediation, President Donald Trump said it's possible if the company and union want it. Hopefully they'll be able to work out the GM strike quite quickly, Trump said before leaving the White House for New Mexico. Hopefully they're going to work it out quickly and solidly. Wall Street did not like seeing the union picketers. GM shares closed Monday down 4.2% to $37.21. And the article goes on, but what do you think about it, Russ?
I mean, I don't like collectivism. I don't like collective bargaining at all. I think that it is an entire shit show. And if rather than going on strike, How about you get on board with President Donald Trump's agenda about bringing your factories back here from Mexico and China and producing here in the United States? That is the greatest protection for your jobs whatsoever. And you demanding more wages and more goodies and more bennies, right? You're shooting yourself in the foot. You are pushing these factories away to Mexico and China by doing so. That's just my thought. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, it's worth talking about the bailout, the auto bailout. Mm-hmm. I was talking to my dad about this. My dad really understands this topic well, and he kind of red pilled me on it when they were here visiting me. And he said, he basically said that what the auto, and how familiar are you with this, Russ? Am I just preaching to the choir? I mean, am I just
no?
What's up?
No, I'm intimately familiar with this.
Okay,
yes.
So as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, basically what the auto bailout is that GM was about to go bankrupt, specifically GM, but they were about to go bankrupt, and part of the bailout was that what they did is they would shutter the company, form a new company, and then move all of the assets over to the new company, hire all of the employees into the new company, and then leave all of the debt behind.
That's correct.
And
it's very analogous to what they were doing at the same time with banks, where they would create within a bank a bad bank and a good bank, and they would push all of the underwater subprime mortgage debt into the bad bank, and the good bank would be made whole again, right? It's the exact same model that they followed, and that's correct. That's what they did.
So like GM as it exists today is a fake company, and the people who are the victims of, because there's victims here, there was going to be victims. The victim was going to either be the unions, the union employees, I should say, because they wouldn't get the payout that the unions promised them, because the unions promised way too much and there's absolutely no way to afford it over time. And so that was one way, but the federal government, in an attempt to buy votes, said, oh no, we'll just bail you out. The people who are really going to get screwed on this are actually going to be the shareholders and the people responsible for the debt, the bag holders.
Right.
And so they screwed over all the bag holders. So GM as it exists today is not a real company. It's a fake company, artificially manufactured by the United States government. And then now, what's that?
I hadn't reached that conclusion before. I have never thought about it that way, but I could not agree more, man. That is a great way to put it. I've never thought of it that way, but that's correct.
Yeah, and then it's now taken 10 years, and here we are again. We are in auto bailout 2.0. Now,
yep.
It's doing quite well, but as these pensions start to kick in, as the liabilities start to kick in, there's no way they're going to be able to afford this over time. And so this is probably less to do with them trying to deal with a problem that they see on the accounting books on the horizon right now, is probably what they're doing. And so they don't have to do this again. But yeah, I mean, this is what you get. This is going to continue to happen until you get these unions out of there. Unions are organized crime syndicates. That's all they are.
Indeed.
They're legally upheld monopolies. They are government enforced monopolies that serve as organized crime syndicates and operate with impunity in places like California and Michigan.
Yep. That's right, man. That's right. And man, they just don't get it yet. You know, in this climate of the trade war, oh my God, this is the wrong time to be striking. But dude, I think that analysis is absolutely brilliant, and I could not agree with you more. I also think it's rather egregious that while GM did get, what was it? Was it $100 billion bailout? I believe it was either $50 billion or $100 billion, one of the two.
I'm not sure of the exact number.
Okay, yeah, it was one of the two. It was a lot of money, man. It was a lot of money, you know. So for them to take this bailout and then say, you know, oh my God, United States labor is too expensive. We've got to move it to Mexico. Okay, I get it. It's because of these unions squawking and striking. I understand, wanting more and more and more. All of these unfunded liabilities that they have on their books that are coming to the fore, and you're right about that as well. I get it. I totally understand. Then don't take a government bailout. You take the black pill and you go bankrupt is what you do. And you build back from the ashes. You know what? GM is not worthy of existence. It is propped up exactly as Luke described for the purpose of gaining votes and no other reason. Propped up by Obama, it was. Obama was the GM bailout, right? And, so that they can go export more jobs out of the country. I think the whole situation is an entire negative feedback loop of just absolute shittiness. Pardon my French, dear listener, but that's what it is. That's what it is. And that company should be burned to the ground and go bankrupt, and Toyota should come in, or whomever should come in and buy them and build them into a great company. Again, that's what should happen. They should just go bankrupt. What else you got about it, man?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's basically it. It was just worth acknowledging. And anytime anybody sees these union strikes are BS. You see all these people picketing. Most of those people aren't even union employees. Most union employees don't even care. They're just like,
right.
Really? We have to go on strike again? Okay.
Yeah. Did you see the picketers? There's like fewer than 50 in all
they're
of
hired.
these,
they're hired picketers.
Exactly.
The union employees, they don't really care. This is why I say that they're an organized crime syndicate. They tell their employees you're not allowed to go to work. They actually put security guards in place to prevent employees from going to work, and then they hire picketers to go out there and picket. Then the mayor comes around. He's like, I'm going to support my labor unions. And he comes out and pickets with them so he can do a nice little photo op, make sure he gets some votes out of it. And that's it. That's all it is. They are a totally corrupt organization. They should be, they shouldn't be, it's not that they shouldn't be allowed to exist. They shouldn't be forced to exist, which is
that's it. That's it. That's a good way to put it. Yes.
Which is what they are now. I mean, everyone wants to talk about monopolies. I can't think of a worse monopoly a more destructive monopoly in the United States than labor unions.
And regarding labor unions, like in their founding back in the 19 teens and 20s and stuff like this, like I get it. Okay, there were deplorable worker conditions going on back then. It wasn't really the fault of industry; it was really the fault of technology. But labor was not being represented. They were dying on the line. They're being ground up in hot dog mills. Like oh God, what's that book by Upton Sinclair? Not the Jungle. It'll come back to me. It doesn't matter, right? Like they needed some representation, but what this has turned into is exactly what Luke said: a straight up mafia, an organized crime outfit, is what it is. What happened before, what brought them into existence was the opposite thing. Big businesses were using the club of government against employees, right? And then labor unions formed, and then they infiltrated, and then flipped it, and now they're using the club of government against businesses. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Well said. Well said. I have a lot more to say about unions through personal experience in San Francisco, but I think in the interest of time, we should move on. All right. So what topic you got? We're trading topics here. Yeah, we're trading topics, man. Let's see here. Let's just go ahead and talk about immigration here for a little bit. Got a Breitbart piece here from the lead. It goes thus. 2 illegal aliens shielded from deportation by President Obama's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals DACA program are suing the Trump administration to ensure that they can still collect federal welfare and still obtain green cards to permanently stay in the United States. Oh man, I wonder where they got those. I wonder where they got those lawyer fees from. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Very curious. Exactly. Curious question, isn't it? The Open Borders Group, Casa de Maryland, and 2 DACA illegal aliens are suing the Trump administration over its soon-to-be enforcement of the public charge rule, which would save American taxpayers billions by effectively ending welfare-dependent legal immigration to the United States. The regulation prevents legal immigrants from permanently resettling in the U.S. by obtaining green cards so long as they are found to have used or likely to be using welfare programs like food stamps and subsidized health care, as already reported in these hallowed halls. So what this essentially is an activist injunction. It's not an injunction. That's the wrong comparison. But what's going on here is that activists are trying to shut down the Trump administration rule to stop giving welfare to illegals. How does this not make sense? How does the left not get this? We shouldn't be giving welfare to illegals, but you see them up there in debate one, Luke, on the stage. How many of you would support health care for illegals? Every single one of them raised their hand. Every single one. Absolute lunacy. Absolute lunacy.
Yeah.
Morons. Why should we fund the world through welfare? There's no justifiable reason for it whatsoever, right?
Dude, I wonder if like they're gonna have a there's gonna be some presidential campaign slogan at some point, or not campaign slogan, but like some initiative called "Welfare Without Borders."
Man, I hate to laugh about things like this because that just might happen. It just might happen. Yeah, but I mean, anyway, dear listener, we've already got healthcare for illegals going on in California right now. We're 22 trillion in debt, as Luke and I have already reported. It is costing us $650 billion just to service the interest on our debt. We don't have money. We have debt. And to pay these people continuously is the end of this country. That's literally it. And these DACAs, now you see what DACA is really about, dear listener. What it really is about, laying bare. These aren't just good old American kids, who've come over to our country through no fault of their own. And these are Americans. They're not Mexicans. They're not El Salvadorans. They're not Guatemalans. They've lived here their whole lives. They're Americans. No, they're not. They're welfare recipients. That's what this is, right? And you can't paint it with a blanket brush. With one brush. I understand that, right? But they're going to sue the Trump administration over keeping their welfare benefits and their green cards. You believe this? They're going to lose this lawsuit, dear listener. They're going to lose it.
Oh, good.
That's about all I got on it, man. Yeah, it is good.
Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, I basically agree. I mean, obviously we've talked about this on previous shows. Just as a matter of principle, the welfare state should be dismantled entirely and for everybody in perpetuity. But yeah, I mean, you start peeling back the layers of the onion one at a time.
Yeah.
All right, dude. I have or do you want to move on? All right. I have a dear listener who asked a question. I could not find the answer to this, so I have to defer to you, and I'm catching you with a curveball here.
Oh, yeah. Dang. Uh-oh.
It's about something we talked about last week. Okay. It says, Russ mentioned that Abbott signed exec orders that outlawed private exchanges of guns and some other things. I can't seem to find that anywhere. I saw his orders signed in June that loosened restrictions, and I saw the 8 orders in the beginning of September dealing with making things quote-unquote safer, but none of those had to do with guns. They had to do more with law enforcement. Can you give me a source on that?
It was Texas Tribune that I found it in, I believe. I quoted from it last week. This is a very intelligent question, dear listener. Thank you for keeping on my toes. I happen to agree with you about this. This information is really hard to find. Where I first learned about it was on Rick Roberts' show on WBAP 820, and he read the 8 executive orders that Governor Abbott had signed. Now, they're not banning private exchanges of weapons. What they're demanding is background checks for private exchanges of weapons in the in Texas. That's what it is. It's not that you can't do it. It's that you have to go through an FFL. And get a background check.
Somebody who sells guns privately, right? Let's say somebody owns a bunch of guns and they sell guns and buy guns and just as a hobby, they just do it privately. Would they have to get an FFL to continue doing that? Okay.
Yes.
Can you, maybe after the show or tomorrow, would you mind helping me? Because I could not find it. I Googled and searched and did everything I could to find it. And that is erased from the internet, it seems.
Yeah, isn't it though? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was really hard to source for me as well. Let me just do a cursory look here. There's a search term for it, Abbott Executive Order Guns. Okay, here's the Texas Tribune source that I read last week. It came out on September the 5th, okay? Governor Greg Abbott issued 8 executive orders Thursday in response to last month's mass shootings in El Paso and Odessa. Texas must achieve several objectives to better protect our communities and our residents from mass shootings, Abbott said in a statement. I will continue to work expeditiously with the legislature, blah, 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 blah. The orders focus largely on strengthening law enforcement's ability to respond to and prevent future shootings, mainly through improving reporting channels and closing information gaps when members of the public or law enforcement agencies worry that a person might be a threat to commit violence. Okay, so red flag laws essentially is what it is. And also what they're doing, dear listener, in Texas, there is a task force tasked specifically with monitoring online forums like 4chan, like 8chan, even though RIP or 8chan no longer exists, but forums like this to find.
I mean, I don't think that's
about people who might become
a bad
shooters.
idea.
Okay.
I mean, I'm an advocate of the idea that the government should not be in the business of preventing crime. They should be in the business of retaliating against crimes that have been committed. But
Right.
I mean, if the information's out there publicly and you can just have an intern or somebody go through there, police intern, trainee, a gumshoe, go through there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay, dear listener, mea culpa. I've got the 8 executive orders right here in the Tribune piece from the 5th. All right. I might be about to get fact shamed by dear listener. Let's find out about this. All right. Here's order number 1. Okay. Within 30 days of this order, the Texas Department of Public Safety shall develop standardized intake questions that can be used by all Texas law enforcement agencies to better identify whether a person calling the agency has information that should be reported to the Texas Suspicious Activity Reporting Network. Executive Order number 2. Within 30 days of this order, the Department of Public Safety shall develop clear guidance based on the appropriate legal standard for when and how Texas law enforcement agencies should submit suspicious activity reports. Executive Order number 3. Within 60 days of this order, the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement shall make training available to educate all law enforcement officers regarding the standards that will be developed pursuant to Order number 1 and Order number 2. Executive Order number 4. The Department of Public Safety shall create and conduct an initiative to raise public awareness and understanding of how suspicious activity reports are used by law enforcement agencies to identify potential mass shooters or terroristic threats so that the general public and friends, family members, coworkers, neighbors, and classmates will be more likely to report information about potential gunmen. Executive Order number 5. Department of Public Safety shall work with Texas Education Agency and the Higher Education Coordinating Board on ways to better inform schools. Okay, we got that. Number 6, the Department of Public Safety shall work with local law enforcement, mental health professionals, school districts, and others to create multidisciplinary threat assessment teams for each of its regions, and when appropriate, shall coordinate with federal partners. Number 7, the Department of Public Safety, as well as the Officer of the Governor, shall use all available resources to increase staff at all fusion centers in Texas for the purpose of better collecting and responding to suspicious activity reports. Number 8, beginning January 1st, 2020, all future grant awards from the Office of the Governor to counties shall require a commitment that the county will report at least 90% of convictions within 7 business days to the Criminal Justice Information System at the Department of Public Safety. Fact shamed by dear listener. Wasn't me, dear listener. I didn't do nothing. It was Rick Roberts. That's Rick Roberts' fault. Oh, man. Correction. Our first correction in a long time. Luke, this brings us down. This is a big one, man. This brings us down a couple percent, man, and it's all my fault. We're down to like 98%. Dear listener, thank you for keeping me on my toes. I truly appreciate that. I did not source. I could not really find a source. And this Tribune article I'm reading is not the one, actually, that I read last week or 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. Oh, man, feels bad.
Yeah, man. But it's good, though, because Abbott's not on Cuck Watch anymore.
Yeah. Those executive orders are fairly innocuous, I would say. They're not. I don't disagree.
Yeah, even the one.
So, we can take Abbott.
Yeah, even the one, because I thought there's one in there that might be interpreted as red flag law-ish, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, but I don't think it is. It's just educating people on hey, if you think, if you see something, say something, sort of a thing.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. It's not they're going to report somebody to the cops and the cops are going to come take their guns away. It's not like that, right? They're trying to report, hey man, if you think somebody is unstable, it's it's one of these slippery slope things, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can see both ways of looking at it. You know, a lot of people are kind of outraged by that one in particular. I know Rick Roberts is. I know my parents are. And it depends on enforcement of that executive order. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just depends on enforcement. Yeah. But you're right. The way it reads is if you see something, say something. The question is what happens after that fact. You know what I mean? If you say something, what do they do? Do they come shoot you? Like they did that man in New Jersey. You know what I mean? So, you know, yeah. But I mean, you know, Texas, you know, it's still relatively, there are gun-friendlier states in the union than Texas, but Texas is still pretty gun-friendly for the most part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is. Yeah. So I don't think it would be something like it would be enforced as a true red flag law like what Democrats are trying to get pushed through the Congress right now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, for sure.
where they'll just come take your property. That's it. You know, you have no say. They're taking it. And you have to spend exorbitant amounts of money and time to get it back, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Man, I've got another deer. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, dear listener, thank you for keeping us sharp. All right. You're right. My bad. Thank you. You're right. You couldn't find it anywhere, and there's a specific reason for that. It didn't exist. Sorry about that. I just reported what I heard and didn't verify. My bad. Thank you. It will not happen again. Believe that. All right.
Well, I've got
what you got.
I've got another dear listener that sent this. I don't know. Maybe this is more white pilling. It's audio.
Okay. It's loading up.
Man, these like embedded players are so slow.
In rural northern Minnesota, things are changing. The temperature, the leaves, the politics. Thousands of people sort of shifting and changing their politics.
Yeah.
We are.
Oh, yeah.
Once a Democratic stronghold, many of the voters we talk to here say more and more they align with the president.
Her two brothers were staunch Union Democrats for years, and they're not anymore.
This is mining country. Not coal mining, but taconite, a mineral used in making steel. 40, 50 years ago, the Iron Range, as it's called, was booming, bringing big city prosperity to small towns like Evelyn.
Things were just going gangbusters. Businesses all over. Then when it crashed, everybody was caught by surprise. It crashed hard.
The number of mining jobs in the region went from over 14,000 in the 80s to just about 4,500 today, leaving families and main streets to suffer. Robert Blisselevich has been the mayor of Evelyn for 18 years, on and off. He votes Democrat on state races, but he's got a Trump sticker on his desk, a Christmas card from the president on his bulletin board, and the deer on his office wall sports a MAGA hat. The political support for the president, part of this is really just a matter of survival.
Economics. Yep. That's, he's our guy. He supports mining. He's our guy.
Our steel industry is vibrant again. It was dead.
Trump's tariffs on imported steel are popular. So is his easing of environmental regulations. They also like his crackdown on immigration. In a state that's 80% white, the influx of Somali refugees has been a contentious issue. Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar is a controversial figure here.
She offends a lot of people.
She's not popular here.
No, not at all.
Folks here say they didn't leave the Democratic Party. The party left them.
That's right.
Melissa Axelson's husband works for a mining company.
I think they've changed. I see conservative candidates seem to be more for the working person.
The Democrats kind of shifted more to the left, and the Republicans are kind of taking over the party for jobs.
All this matters because in 2016, Trump barely lost Minnesota by just 44,000 votes. Political experts say gains in places like the Iron Range could help boost the GOP's prospects in the state in 2020.
I don't think by any means this is a lockdown Democratic state, and it used to be.
Cindy, do you think that this area could flip this state? In other words, do you think this area could be key to the president's win if he wins?
I do, if we keep pushing.
Supporters say they'd like to see the president plan some campaign rallies in the region. believing that in Minnesota's mining country, when it comes to votes, President Trump could strike gold.
That is white pilling indeed, man. That
Dude.
is really good stuff. Thank you, dear listener.
I hadn't watched that.
That's great.
Before I sent it to you.
Yeah.
All I saw was
fantastic.
Democrat voter on Trump. He's our guy. And then I was like, all right, yeah, this is worth listening to on the show.
yeah, totally.
Dude,
totally.
that's great, man. That's fantastic.
Isn't it though?
Based in Minnesota, man. We need to get our show out, and we need to do a paid advertising campaign in Minnesota for HSP, apparently.
Yeah. right. Yeah. But like Luke, you and I have always said this. We feel this, man. I feel it in the water. I smell it in the air. Like, you know,
crystal clean water.
Yeah, right. We've noticed this groundswell, this changing of the winds for the last, I don't know, since Trump descended the gilded escalator on June 16th of 2015. We've noticed this going on. And I just don't believe the leftist narrative about, oh my God, there are no Trump supporters out there. Everybody hates Donald Trump. You don't hate Donald Trump, bro? What's your problem? I don't buy it. I believe in towns like this one in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. I believe that. You know what I mean? I believe the billboards I see going up and down I-45 going to Houston. I believe those. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
believe the narrative.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting because you've seen Trump now change his tactics a little bit. For the first 2 years, he was very vocal, grabbed a lot of news headlines, did a lot of controversial things, tweeting controversial things, kind of like almost getting himself into trouble all the time.
Yeah.
Man, he has really toned that down. Have you noticed that?
I have. Mm-hmm. I have.
And I think it's because he knows that the left is just is not playing their hand right.
Yeah.
So he's just doing the Saul Alinsky tactic. Don't interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake.
Right. I mean, exactly how he trolled them yesterday at his press conference about like, man, this thing is going to get bad. You know what? Just keep pushing it because when it falls apart, it's going to be really bad for you. You've already had a bad week. It's fixing to get a lot worse.
Yeah, that's so great, dude.
Yeah, I don't want to get overconfident. I don't want us to rest on our laurels.
No, for sure not. Yeah, but I mean, to see what happened in 2016, and I think Trump's coming in way stronger, and I think the left is coming in way weaker than 2016.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I expect like states like Minnesota that he lost, right? I expect those to flip. Texas, I think, is going to be kind of shockingly blue once the votes come in. I think we're going to be surprised by that, but Trump still wins, right? Other places where Trump underperformed, like, for example, I think that there's going to be a big boost in California. Now, is Trump going to win California? No, he's not, right? But it's going to be a lot closer than the left expects that it's going to be. Same with New York. You know what I mean? Places like this that are deeply blue. Will Trump win those? No, he won't, right? But in the same way that Texas is going to be shockingly blue, these liberal strongholds are going to be shockingly
wouldn't that be
red
crazy
this
if,
time.
all the Californians are coming to Texas to flip Texas blue, and then California starts turning red, so all the Texans move to California and turn California red?
Dude, I kind of think a little bit that's literally what's happening. A little bit.
Would you trade? Okay, so then
And
the question becomes: would you trade the geography of California for the geography of Texas? And the history.
Yeah. No, that I wouldn't trade.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But geography, yes, I would. Climate, yes, I would. Yeah, I would. Overall, in the balance, I still love Texas more, but yeah, I would definitely trade the geography.
For sure.
Geography, I mean, California has everything, man. It's got the mountains, it's got the ocean, it's got
the most fertile farmland, in the world.
Yeah, it sure does. And Texas is pretty good. Florida's pretty good, but like it's not like the Central Valley of California. No. It's just not. There's no place in the world like it.
Plus, I mean, there are so many opportunities for crawfish farms in the Delta that are just not being capitalized on.
Yeah, damn straight.
It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got all those, MS-13 bodies to feed on, victims of MS-13, plenty of food for the crawfish.
Right. All of it is out there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to do it, man. I tell you what, we're going to do it. and I mean it. We're going to do it. So.
Well, dude, let's do an audio break. I'm going to send you an Islam is right about women thread for you to take a look at during the audio break.
All right. So, man, I've got so many audio clips here. I mean, look. I mean, you can see my screen right now. Look at all these browser tabs right now. You sent me the Al Sharpton Matt Gaetz, and that's God tier, dude. I've watched it 5 times this week already. I was just pulling it up when you sent it to me before we hit the red button. I've got these Candace Owens clips as well. Which happened yesterday on the testimony about white supremacy. That stuff's pretty God tier. So maybe we can do 2 audio breaks. I don't know, man. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do Matt Gaetz. We'll do 7 to 10 minutes. Then if we decide to do another audio break and do a third segment, then we'll do Candace Owens. But I'd still like to try and keep this show short so we can do another one on Wednesday.
Yeah, man. We've got business, but dude, we're getting our ass whipped right now, pretty good. I think it's 14-0. So,
you never know.
Not that I don't want to go watch. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're just running out of time. That's all.
We cannot we are on record being 2%ers if we cock the game at this point.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
I mean, you can't. I mean, then there's audio evidence of us being 2%ers.
Yeah. We got shouted down by our mutual friend in Boston about excuse me, dear listener, WTF priorities. But she did say howdy. So to you.
Oh,
she did
what's
say
up?
Howdy. So yeah,
I know who. Yeah. I know who.
Yeah. They're all of our friends are there, if I understand it correctly. Right now at a bar in Boston.
Oh man, I wish I was there. That would be awesome.
I know, man. I miss our people. I really do.
Yeah.
I miss our people so much. Those were, man, halcyon days, man. That was just fantastic.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, dude, let's do this break.
All right. Dear listener, thank you so much for riding along with us through segment 1. Luke and I are going to go check out this game real quick, but we're going to leave you in the meantime with Matt Gaetz absolutely interrogating the Reverend Al Sharpton. You enjoy it. We'll be back at you before you know it.
The gentleman from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Reverend Sharpton, your current MSNBC co-worker, Joe Scarborough, is my former congressman. And when Joe Scarborough served in the Congress, he had quite a bit to say about your contribution to the national discussion. It was in the 106th Congress that Joe Scarborough filed House Concurrent Resolution 270 entitled Condemning the Racist and Anti-Semitic Views of the Reverend Al Sharpton. Mr. Scarborough's resolution began by saying, whereas the Reverend Al Sharpton has referred to members of the Jewish faith as blood-sucking Jews and Jew bastards. So my question to you is, does Mr. Scarborough's assertion that you said these things, is that true, or did you not say those things?
They are patently untrue. I never said that.
Okay.
Can I finish my answer?
No, it's actually my time, but you will be able to.
Well, I thought you raised the question.
So the next question relates
answer
to Mr. Scarborough's second comment. It says, whereas the Reverend...
Since aspersions were cast on the witness will be permitted to answer.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Aspersions weren't cast. I asked the witness...
You asked, was it true that I said that?
I can't reclaim my time, Mr. Chairman?
Witness, you will have your time. The witness will be permitted to answer. You asked me, was that true? And the answer is no, that was not true. And as you know, Mr. Scarborough and I work very closely together. He comes to National Action Network conventions. I think he's a great guy, and we do each other's shows often.
Mr. Scarborough also said...
Excuse me. The gentleman who's... the timekeeper will add 30 seconds to Mr. Gates' time.
Joe Scarborough then wrote, whereas the Reverend Al Sharpton has referred to members of the Jewish faith as white interlopers and diamond merchants, Have you ever referred to members of the Jewish faith as white interlopers or diamond merchants?
No, sir. I referred to one in Harlem, an individual who I didn't even know was Jewish, as an interloper, and said I should never refer to his race. I said that I was against those that were using apartheid diamonds. And when I did a funeral in Crown Heights in '91, because we were boycotting Oppenheimer and those that were selling diamonds from apartheid South Africa.
Thank
in
you,
the
Mr.
same
Scarborough.
sermon, I'm trying to now finish my answer, sir.
No,
Am I allowed to finish my answer?
I'm allowed to reclaim my time.
You asked a question and I'm answering it.
Yeah, I got a few more.
Well, and I have a few more answers.
I can't wait.
Well, apparently you do because you don't want me to answer.
No, I want to
So
know.
since you raised it, let me finish.
And I would
also
like to
talked
ask
about
you
people
questions.
snatching pocketbooks
by talking
that are in the.
that
I'm
is
not
how this is gonna
filibustering
work,
anything.
Reverend.
I'm answering your question.
Everyone will
Chairman.
suspend, please.
Mr. Chairman, a parliamentary inquiry.
Everyone will suspend.
Mr. Scarborough continued, whereas the Reverend Al Sharpton led a protest in the Crown Heights neighborhood and marched next to a protester with a sign that read, "The white man is the devil." Did you march next to a sign that said?
I have no recollection of that. I've marched in many things where there were signs that I did or did not agree with.
Scarborough
and
continues, whereas the Reverend
I
Al
would
Sharpton's
say that
vicious
if I
verbal
was
and
aware of that, I would have said
I asked him my
that
time
I would
to
not
have
want
the
to
opportunity
have that
question the
sign.
witness and not just have him continue to.
Well, then you shouldn't ask me a question if you don't want an
I
answer.
want to know if you said them. You could say yes or no. You said
No, I cannot answer, Mr. Chairman, on yes or no when he's asking me whether or not
the witness is obviously disrupting the committee.
the witness. First of all, this has nothing to do with policing.
Chairman,
Since he wants to make the subject Joe Scarborough and I, then let me answer it. It had nothing. Last I know, Joe Scarborough nor I are members of the police department or have anything to do with excessive force. But I'm loving to engage this if he lets me finish.
What is outrageous is a matter of opinion. The gentleman controls the time.
Mr. Chairman, I asked that a minute be restored.
The gentleman controls the time.
So you're not going to restore my time?
No.
Joe Scarborough continues, the Reverend Al Sharpton's fierce demagoguery incited violence, riots, and murder in the Crown Heights section of Brooklyn. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
As a matter of fact, the New York State did a extensive study on the Crown Heights riots. Said I was not even there until after there was death of Yanko Roosevelt. I was not even called by the family until the day after.
Thank you, Mr.
We had
Chairman.
nothing to do with it. When I came to Crown Heights, I led the first nonviolent march there.
Are you really? All right, fine. Mr. Sharpton, have you ever referred to African Americans who disagree with you as cocktail sip Negroes?
I have.
Florida may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have you ever referred to African Americans who disagree with you as yellow and then the N-word?
I don't know that I've referred to people as names. I don't know if it's because they disagree with me, but I have said things about blacks and whites. I'm glad you made it clear that I don't only attack whites. Thank you for that.
Have you ever said that? Have you ever referred to African Americans who disagree with you as Negro militants?
I didn't know that was a derogatory statement.
I didn't say it was. Just ask if you used it.
I don't know. I don't recall.
Have you ever said, if the Jews want to get it on, tell them to pin their yarmulkes back and come over to my house?
No, there was a man named Mordecai Levy who had been charged with some terrorist acts who threatened to march on me and several other activists in New Jersey. And he said he was going to come deal with my hairstyle. And I'm referring to his hairstyle. I said for him to pin it and come on. I was not talking about all Jews.
Well, you said those words.
No, I said about Mordecai Levy.
Have you said, I'm in hell already, I'm in Israel?
Yeah, because I had been threatened that if I came over to deal with
question.
First of all,
I
believe that you can deal with the decorum of the Congress, but you cannot disrespect a witness. You cannot ask a question and tell the witness he can't answer the question.
Is permitted to answer a question.
You're welcome to answer. How about?
Well, then let me answer, sir.
Okay.
Let me answer because I'm enjoying this. I think that you have.
You're at a committee about policing.
Don't get upset. Calm down. Calm down. You're yelling. Calm down. I think that I'm trying to answer your last question.
Gentlemen will be permitted. The time of the gentleman has expired. The witness may answer the question.
The one about offing the pigs. Answer that one.
The witness may answer the question. The time of the gentleman has expired. The witness may answer the question.
The question that he raised, what I was saying was clearly that I have disagreed with blacks and whites. I've used language graphically sometimes to do so, some of which I've grown beyond. but none of which shows anything other than I am an equal opportunity attacker. And I'm glad that Joe Scarborough and I both are equal opportunity attackers that now work together.
On consideration, I will withdraw my previous objection. The document will be entered into the record. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Gates.
Thank the gentleman for yielding. I was reviewing your prior answer, Reverend Sharpton. You are cited in a Washington Examiner piece, July 30th, 2019, as having said, if the Jews want to get it on, tell them to pin their yarmulkes back and come over to my house. And in your response to my question, you said you were just referring to one person. So here is my very limited question for you, Reverend. Were you misquoted in this story when you say the Jews and them, referring to a plural group of people rather than one person you seem to have a grievance with?
Well, am I allowed to answer? My name is Sharpton, not Lewandowski. I will answer the question if I'm allowed.
Please.
We know your name, sir. Go ahead and answer.
And you then know that I'm going to answer. I was referring to an incident and a threat to come to my home by Mordecai Levy and to the homes of, I believe, Reverend Daughtry and others. How the Examiner, I think you said, or someone else wrote, I'm not looking at it, so I do not know whether they misquoted me or not. I do know what I said and who I was referring to.
Well, did you say them?
I just said that I'm not looking at the statement. I do not. You're talking about a situation that happened in 1991. If I said them, the, or those, I don't know. I know that incident and I know what I was referring to. And a man threatening to come to our home who had that kind of criminal record. And I had two young children, I think under 5 years old.
Thank you. I appreciate the answer.
Again, I'm not Lewandowski. Let me talk. I'll talk. I'll testify before this committee.
So is it your belief that
if I said them or not, would that help or hurt excessive force of policing?
Well, I think it's pretty significant when someone wants to come and preach to us.
Mr. Chairman, point of parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
point
Chairman.
of parliamentary inquiry. The gentleman controls the time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I ain't having no march. I believe in fighting. Well, fight then. Ain't nobody holding you. I'll off the man. We'll off him. Plenty of crackers walking around here tonight. Did you say those words?
I do not recall saying I will not march. I think for the last 40 years I've marched. I think that you're referring to, and I'm not sure, but I think you're referring to when I was dealing with some people that said that they don't want to march and that they're going to off people. And I told them there are plenty of people walking around that they called the name. They're not offing anybody because I felt that they were just trying to disrupt our asking people to march. So in the context of I was quoting as I said the reference made about I don't want to march.
And astrology and mathematics before Socrates and them Greek homos ever got around to it. Did you say that, Mr. Sharpton?
I talked about African history and I talked about how we had dealt with astrology as well as mathematics and philosophy and religion in Africa.
But you referred to people as Greek homos, didn't you?
I do not recall how I referred to anyone. And you'd have to cite.
Do you think that your bigoted statements in 1991 are excusable just because they were in 1991?
I think that any statement that I've made that was wrong, I have clearly said that we should not make bigoted statements, including me. I also think that to distort. I think that also to distort.
Have you made bigoted statements?
Will the gentleman yield?
You can ask all the questions you want, but I'm going to answer the question.
Will the gentleman yield?
When you call Greek homos, when you talk about white crackers, those are bigoted statements.
I think I made it clear that I was quoting what somebody said. Yelling and getting upset is beneath your office. You should calm down.
Time is the gentleman's.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would note these are highly relevant to the issues that we're facing. Reverend Sharpton has come before the House Judiciary Committee
The clock should be running.
as a purported expert on policing, and yet his bigoted statements undermine the bipartisan work we should be doing to ensure that all citizens are able to come together and have safe communities.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. How is this
Gentleman will state his
germane?
point of order. Point of order. Although the gentleman's comments may be obnoxious, although they may
I object to that. Point of order. That is an improper characterization of the member of the committee.
May be characterized as whatever you want to characterize them as.
I have a point of order that your words be taken down.
Oh,
woe is me.
Gentlemen,
I pick a fight and now I need help.
Under the rules, the gentleman has wide latitude, both on the question of germaneness and on the language that he uses. And unfortunately, under the rules, I cannot overrule him. The gentleman will proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You sold your life story, Mr. Sharpton, to your own charity. How much money did your charity pay you for the rights to tell your story?
Parliamentary inquiry. Mr. Chairman, this is an outrage, and the question is whether you can impugn the motives and or insult or badger the witness or cost or characterize his presence at this table.
The gentlelady was not recognized. The gentleman will proceed.
How much money did your charity pay you personally, for the right to tell your life story?
My charity owed a certain amount of money to me and asked could they use that money to have the right to sell any rights to my life, be it documentary, one-man play, or other items that they have already began reaping dividends. They would have had to pay me the same sum anyway because it was owed to me.
Was that sum
so
over
the
$500,000?
answer, can I finish?
Was it over $500,000?
Can I finish? Whatever the sum was, the sum, whatever the sum
gave you to tell your life story, because I think most people would see that as
charity
fraud.
again.
Fraud.
Charity again owed me a certain amount of money that they would have had to pay anyway, and they were. I agreed to allow them,
or less than $500,000 that his charity paid him for his life
Gentleman's time.
I allowed them to use those funds
Chairman, I
to
asked you to
have
instruct the
my
was it
right.
more than $500,000?
Gentleman will suspend. His time has expired. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
All right, dear listener, welcome back to HSP episode number 55.
What did you think about that,
Dude,
man?
we talked about this a couple episodes when we mentioned that there's this sort of younger class of congressmen coming into the ranks.
Yep.
And we couldn't remember a name. We had listed out several people, Dan Crenshaw, a few other people, and Jim Jordan,
Mark Meadows.
Yes, I guess
Devin
Yes,
Nunes.
I guess not necessarily younger per se, but sort of this, like, kind of I hate to even call it the squad of the right, but kind of this group of people on the right that are much more principled, much more firebrand. Jim Jordan, Dan Crenshaw, Rand Paul's kind of power levels increasing, Ted Cruz, Devin Nunes. Who was the other one you mentioned?
Jim Jordan.
Yeah. But we couldn't quite.
Mark Meadows.
Yeah, Mark Meadows. That's who it was. We could, and then I was like, there's another guy, and I couldn't remember who it was. And this is him. It's Matt Gaetz.
Matt Gaetz.
Yeah. Dude, it is so amazing. I love this group of people coming in on the right and taking over. It's so fantastic, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, yeah. All right. The gentleman's time has expired. We yield now to Congressman Jim Jordan. I yield back to Mr. Gaetz. Oh, man. And, dude, Sharpton had nothing to do or say but to filibuster, to try to draw out the answers. You asked me a question, I'm trying to answer the question. No, you're not. You're trying to filibuster because you just got busted on your bullshit right there in front of Congress. That's what happened. Oh, man. And just kept sticking the knife in a little deeper, twisting it a little more, a little deeper, another twist. Oh, man, it was so good.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Al Sharpton is so racist, such a disgusting human being.
Yeah.
The National NAN, the National Action Network. Yeah, they're all disgusting. They're all racist. And
yeah,
I love it. The way the right wins is by calling them out on their bullshit. Just calling them out for it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
By the way, what's the score, man?
14-3. We put up 3 during the audio break, so we're at 14-3. We've got the ball. It's 3rd and 10. The second half is coming to a close. So, man, I respectfully suggest that, like, by the end of halftime, when the Aggie band is done playing, we should be out of this show by that time.
Yeah. And dear listener, we mentioned at the top of the show, I believe that we're going to do another one on Wednesday, right? I said
That's
that.
correct.
Yeah. We're going to do another one on Wednesday. You're being visited twice this week by the HSP spirits.
2 trails to ride this week, dear listener.
Yeah.
2.
Doubling up on miles.
Also, yeah, that's right. And I have to apologize. Dear listener, I'll tell the story on bots, but I got cucked on bots on Thursday night. I am going to be unable to do bots next week because of... All right. You know what it is, dear listener. All right, Luke and I got our private chat going on here, right? And he just sent me this meme. Oh, my God. It's rancid, by the way. It's absolutely rancid. But anyways, I'll get back on bots in 2 weeks. Okay, maybe I'll try to throw something down for next week. We'll see what happens, right? But meanwhile, you're getting 2 HSPs this week. That is for sure. You believe that? So
That's right. I can't wait. I'm going to be on a different microphone, dude. I'm going to have to rack my vocals differently. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, you're not bringing your microphone?
No, man. I've got 2 lav mics. I've got a shotgun mic, and then my dad's Neumann mics, which are way better. Like, those are legit.
It's a god tier mic. Yeah.
So I'm gonna when I'm at my parents' place, I'm gonna record on my dad's gear, which is gonna be like pro tier gear, but since it's a different mic and a different environment, I'm gonna have to rack my vocals with a different rack. Because here at my house, the mic doesn't change, the equipment doesn't change, the environment doesn't change. So I have the same rack every time. So it's gonna, I don't know, it's gonna take a little more effort this time. But I'm really excited because last year when I recorded on it, I had no idea what the hell I was doing in terms of editing vocals. So yeah. And we lost that show anyways. You were like, "Oh, sorry, man, I lost the show."
Yeah, that did happen.
It was a bad show anyways.
Yeah. I mean, you win some, you lose some, and it wasn't a great show, but like I did lose it, and my bad, dear listener. Sorry about that. That was
back in our days when we sucked anyways.
Yeah,
those first 10, those first 10 shows, show 10 in particular was so bad.
It was.
We're like, show 10, man. We made it, man. 10 shows.
Double-digit episode. Oh, my God.
Hashtag OMG.
Yeah. I mean, we were just neophytes.
Everyone.
You neophytes. Stop stealing my show. Inside joke, dear listener.
Who is that? That's not Michael Savage. That's
Mark Levin.
Mark Levin, one of those show hosts.
Yeah.
Us neophytes don't even know our show hosts over here.
Yeah. But he, you know what? Mark Levin listens to the show, so he's good. He's on the trail. It's all good, So
yeah. I mean, everyone has to have a come up, I mean, hell, Rush. Do you know Rush's original radio name?
No.
Before Rush Limbaugh?
Known this. I have known this, but I forgot it. His DJ name when he was in Pittsburgh is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I forgot. What is it?
It's so bad. Jack Christie.
That's right, Jack Christie. That's it. Yeah.
It's like, where do you come up with that name?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, I know. Rush Limbaugh is so much better. Rush, you trust the HSP boys on this. You did right on that one. You did right.
I like Rush so much, dude. Like he's just, I don't know, man. He's like the OG, and just the way he's handled his career. I have mad. I mean, I think that if he and I got into a debate, I mean, we don't agree on everything, and if he and I got into a debate, I would pretty quickly just dive straight into philosophy and it would be more or less over in my opinion. But I have mad respect for him.
Same here. I wouldn't debate Rush Limbaugh. I'll just put it that way. I wouldn't do it, man. I just wouldn't do it.
I totally would, but it wouldn't be like a debate. It would be kind of like Russ trying to convince me that you can't reveal your power level too deeply.
Right.
If you want, but see, Rush, he has a different approach, man. Rush is not trying to change the world. He views his show as a business, and his goal is to make money. His goal is not to change the world. His goal is to make money.
That's correct.
And he openly admits that on his show.
He does. He has recently, in fact.
Yeah, which is why I respect him. He's just open about it, So like, I mean, if we debated on ideological things, I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to debate him. Not because I think I would lose or anything, because I don't think I would, but just, I don't know. I like him too much, I'd rather just have a beer and discuss politics and disagree when we do.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing,
Yeah, have a scotch and a cigar and kick it with Rush. Yeah, man.
A couple painkillers,
Yeah. Dude, that's rude, man.
I'm sorry, Rush. I didn't mean it.
But I mean, the first victim of the opioid crisis was indeed Rush Limbaugh. It was the very first, the OG once again, first victim of the opioid crisis. So
Dangers of being a ditto head, I guess.
Yeah, man. I guess so, man. Well, I don't know that Rush listens to our show, but I do know that Mr. Snerdley listens to our show. I know.
Oh,
I know
for
Mr.
sure.
Snerdley. I know.
Yeah.
I know Snerdley. It's all. Thank you, Mr. Snerdley. You are welcome anytime in these hallowed halls on this trail at any given time. And we know you're here. We know you're here. Rush, maybe. I don't know. Luke, there are a couple things, as always happens, where Rush says something where I'm just like, dude, that's HSP boy material. Rush just ripped us off.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
yeah,
I mean, we are right, as is demonstrated statistically, we are right about 98% of the time.
Well, 98 as of now, because I got fact-shamed by dear listener about the executive orders. So yeah, about 98. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so, other people are right about 60% of the time. So there's some overlap. You know what I mean? And now, not Rush. Rush is what is he? 97 point?
No, he's claiming 99.9 at the moment.
Oh yeah, well no. HSP, you can't be above HSP. That's metaphysically impossible. There's limits to the human mind,
Fact.
And that's HSP is it.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Is that a fact?
That's a
fact.
Dear listener, we're quoting Tombstone. That's the HSP Boys' favorite movie of all time. Luke and I watched it a couple times back in the day in San Francisco, and I mean this show is brought to you by Tombstone, dear listener. That's that's it right there.
Yeah, Tombstone's one of the best movies that's ever been made.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's for sure for me top 2 or 3, if not my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, it's top 10 for me. Top 10. I love it. Yo, no Daisy. I love it, dude. Oh my God. It's so quotable, man. I sent you a photo of that shirt that I'm still trying to find for you. You remember that? Say when. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know that movie so well, so well that I know, when he goes, say when, then the camera immediately pans to his pistol and his finger starts tapping on the handle of his pistol.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that movie so well.
I'm the same as you. I know every cut. I know every shot. I know every line of dialogue. And I hadn't watched it until you and I watched it back in 2014, I think it was, the first time we watched it. I hadn't watched it since 10 years at least. That's the last time I'd seen it before we watched it. Since then, I've watched it 10 times at least.
So what did you think? What did you think when we first watched it? I don't remember. When we watched it, you watched it for the first time after all that time.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd had a couple, okay? And I kind of remembered it being a shit tier movie until we watched it again, and I was just blown away by it. Absolutely blown away by every last bit of it. And I mean, dude, we were tipsy. You know, we'd had maybe a bottle of whiskey and a bottle of vodka, so we were just kind of getting there. You know what I mean? And
you know, might have had a bottle of whiskey, bottle of vodka. We were a little tipsy.
But I was blown away. And like, I don't know if you remember this, but like after the movie finished, we just sat there quoting lines from it. You know, our private one, there's one that is most private to the HSP Boys, which we will never utter in these hallowed halls. That's for me and Luke only. Right. But there's
I accidentally uploaded it to SoundCloud.
You did? What happened? What happened?
Well, I uploaded on accident the wrong file to SoundCloud a week or two ago. And it was my isolated audio.
Right.
And as soon as it finished uploading, I listened. I was like, "Oh my God, that's my isolated audio. That's our pre-show talk." I had to like immediately replace the file. I don't know if anybody heard it. If you heard it, dear listener, write us. If you heard it and you know what we're referring to, one of our pre-show rituals when we first hit the button, send us an email at feedback@zero-gravity-media.com and let us know. And if you know what it is, I don't know, should we give some sort of reward, Russ?
Yeah, we should. It can't be the private chat. It can't be access to the private chat. But,
no, God, no.
Yeah, but it could be that's exclusive. Dear listener, if you get access to this private chat right there, that means we know you and we love you and you are vetted in these hallowed halls. But you know, what would the reward? You know what? I know what it is.
Just like
we're gonna send them a photo of Dear Leader, which is where the Dear Listener meme derived. From whence the Dear Listener meme derived. We'll send a photo of Dear Leader. I still have it. Do you still have it?
Of what? Sorry, you cut out for a moment. A photo of
a Dear Leader, which is from whence the Dear Listener meme derived, right? We'll send a photo of Dear Leader. Yeah. If you know what it was that Luke uploaded, that is our private, most ultimate private quote from Tombstone. If you know that, if you're so on it, which is probably going to be Ashburn, Virginia, because dude, as soon as we blast, Ashburn is on it.
Yeah. I mean, Tucker's it's gonna be on Tucker tomorrow night.
Yeah,
that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. So we will send you a photo of Dear Leader, and I still have it. I could blow it up into a photo. I could do that. Yeah.
I don't even know what you're referring to.
Oh, yes, you do.
Of Dear Leader? Yeah, Kim Jong-un. But that's a normal, that's a photo you can get on Google Images.
We have the one with the headphones on, remember?
Did we make that?
No, we found it. Right? And that's where we came up with the whole Dear Listener thing. Yeah.
Dude, I honestly have been waiting this whole time for one of us to get our Photoshop skills up to the point where we could create it. I didn't know that we found that.
Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I mean, we should just put that up on the website. I was thinking more like when we monetize, just give them a free membership or something for a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. That's fair. Yeah. Once again, the HSP challenge, dear listener.
When we monetize in 2023, we can give them a free membership.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, on the monetization, we've been talking about this for so many. It's so funny. It's like, you know, other people, they start podcasts and it's like their whole goal is to like make money from it and all this and that. And, you know, so they like make their Patreon and build the website. And then their biggest problem is like generating the content needed for that. And Russ and I are like the total opposite. It's like the content is so easy. It just comes naturally. And like we're too lazy to actually monetize the site.
Well, I mean, you know, there is the laziness factor, but you know, we've been waiting on ThinkSpace. We've been
Cuckspot.
Excuse me, dear listener. Yeah. We've been waiting for things to develop, and it's not happening on our timetable. And yes, it is laziness, but it's also that we were given a promise by Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin. It didn't work out. And gentlemen, no problem. It's all good. We know y'all got business and We know this is a complicated operation, which you want to create. But I don't know. We've been waiting to beta test that for, man, it's September 21st. So that means, 9 months and 21 days we've been waiting to beta test that.
Not only that, but they sent out an email 2 weeks ago, and they were like, oh, hey, you're going to be included on the beta test here soon. And nowhere in the features that it listed was payment gateways. Yeah. It was like another social network sort of a thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, awesome. We waited all this time and it's not going to do what you said it was going to do.
Right.
So, anyways, yeah, I know what we're going to do. I've done the research, dear listener. Our WordPress site right now is expired, which is why it looks a little bit different. It's $300 and I have to pay that out of pocket. I'm waiting until we travel. I travel and get back from the United States to Germany. I'm going to re-up the subscription on the site, and then I'll install a payment functionality. I've already got it all figured out. And there will be like a few different ways you can subscribe. If you want to support Zero Gravity Media as an entity, you can. If you want to do just Botstad, you can. If you want to do just HSP, you can. If you want to do HSP and capitalist lifestyle show. So there will be options. There will be ways for you to support shows that you like, support shows that you don't. Well, not that dear listener wouldn't not like a show on Zero Gravity Media, but maybe you listen to some shows more than others and you want to earmark your money in certain ways. We've already got all that figured out. We're just waiting to re-up our subscription on WordPress, which should happen at the end of October. And then we'll put this functionality in. So hopefully by November, sometime in November, you can, if you want to trade value for value, then then you'll be able to then.
But dear listener, this God tier content, which you get for free every single week, will remain free. We promise you that. But there is there's going to become exclusive content unique to donors, subscribers, whatever model we come up with, that you will have access to, and we will be reliable about it. Like maybe Friday Night Comfy Post gets behind the paywall or something like that.
I would say at the very least, a Discord server access. That gives you like straight up direct access to Russ and myself and anybody else on there. And then sure, we should probably do a show or do some content that's only for those behind the pay. I don't know, or frankly, I'd like to give everything up for free, and if you want to support the show, you can.
Yeah, same here.
That would be my ideal situation,
Yeah. What Luke and I do not want, dear listener. Okay, we don't want to be beholden to advertisers. We've gone back and forth about this so many times. Like, really, advertising is where the money is, right? But we don't want to subject you to advertising, so we're gonna come up with other means.
Yeah, like on Sunday Special, like Ben Shapiro, he has to take a few breaks during the show, and they're kind of awkward breaks, but whatever. Like, got to pay the bills, trying to make some money, sure, but at the same time, Ben Shapiro has to be totally, not beholden to the advertisers. I'm sure he's not like, oh my God, what am I advertising? I'm sure it's not like that all the time. And I'm sure he probably has people beating down his door to advertise, but you still have to think about that.
Right. Yeah.
And we don't ever want to be in that position. We want to be totally independent and listener supported. Involuntary, sort of a little bit like NPR is.
Right. Well, they're government supported, but yes.
And then we can start talking like this. Dear listener, there's a fundraiser right now. If you donate $10 this month, that will double to $20 thanks to a generous donor who's decided to match donations this month.
We haven't done NPR voices in so long. It's been so long since we've read an NPR article where we could do NPR voice, Check the earlier shows, dear listener. Luke and I, this was a meme a while back, and you liked it. You liked it back then, and we'll do it again. We'll make it great.
Dude, I've been listening to NPR lately.
Really? Why?
Just honestly, I get tired of German radio, man. I want to hear some English.
Oh, man, I love German radio, man. Y'all have the best electronic music. radio stations in the world.
Yeah, but dude, I don't know, man. NPR's comfy. I tell you what it was, dude. I was driving down to this town. It's 2 hours south from where I live. And I had to be there at 8 a.m. This is this offsite event I mentioned at the top of the show. And so I had to wake up at 5:15 and be out the door by 6. And, you know, it's that time of year here in Germany where it's getting a little chilly. Days are getting shorter. And I was, you know, I had my coffee, I had my thermos, you know, and I was kind of like, you know, you got that comfy thing going on. You know, it's like, it's about 45 degrees outside, still dark, 6 a.m, got a 2-hour drive ahead of you. You got your thermos, some steam coming up out of it, and you're dressed nice, your hair's done. And, you know, you're just in full on turbo comfy mode on that drive, you know? And I was like, what could make it more comfy? And I was like, NPR. That's it. So, I've got the NPR app on my phone. I've got San Francisco KQED saved as a favorite station. So I just put on KQED and listened to it for 2 hours on the drive. And the sun rose while I was driving. I drank all my coffee. It was comfy, man. It was comfy.
Dang, you're on Cuck Watch, Luke. I tell you what, you're officially on Cuck Watch. I tell you what. Kidding, man. Just kidding. Dear listener, I would never put my trusty and loyal best friend co-host on Cuck Watch ever. That would never happen. So I'm just kidding. Just trying to have some fun. That's all. You know?
Well, dude, NPR, I mean, I got a bunch of news from them, actually. I learned a lot in that 2 hours about like this whole thing with Trump. And I think this was one of your topics, if I'm not mistaken. The Californians, they call it tailpipe emissions, which is this throwback to like 1970s, you know.
Right.
You had an article on this, right? Where Trump is like blocking California from enacting further emission standards.
Yeah. It is a caller piece. I'll take it from the lead. It goes thus. President Donald Trump announced Wednesday his move to end California's authority to craft emission regulations that are stricter than federal rules, a move that comes as the president continues to roll back Obama-era regulations. Trump said removing a waiver will make vehicles safer and less expensive. The Trump administration is revoking California's federal waiver on emissions in order to produce far less expensive cars for the consumer, while at the same time making cars substantially safer, the president said on Twitter. The Trump administration is revoking, here's President Trump's tweet. The Trump administration is revoking California's federal waiver on emissions in order to produce far less expensive cars for the consumer, while at the same time making the cars substantially safer. This will lead to more production because of this pricing and safety. This will lead to more production because of the pricing and safety advantage, and also due to the fact that older, highly polluting cars will be replaced by new, extremely environmentally friendly cars. I still don't have my Trump voice right, man. I try. California Attorney General Javier, a Democrat who's been a thorn in Trump's hide, it should be side, but we get the point, and said the state will continue to fight such moves. Well, you know what? You can't subvert federal law. You can't do it, California. Although you try so hard, you can't do it. And so, yeah, that's that on, and I think it's God tier, man. And it's absolutely right, man. These laws that they're talking about are, well, they've always been unique to California, but they're talking about really these federal emission laws, right? Where California just always wanted to be a standard higher, right? Oh, no, we're going to have no emissions. Now, listen, you know, it is true that LA was a smog-ridden shithole, right? That's why you have smog checks in California, right? What these mechanisms, these catalytic converters, and all of this other machinery you have to put into your car has the effect of doing is making your car heavier, less fuel efficient, and much less safe, okay? So I think it's God tier, man. I think it's a great troll to California. You know, Javier can say whatever he wants. There's nothing he can do about it. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's doing this in the name of the most impoverished.
Right. Right.
I mean, all this crap just costs money. It just makes everything more expensive.
Yeah. Right.
It makes cars more expensive. It makes just life
Gas
more expensive. It makes gas more expensive. It makes, riding the bus more expensive. It makes everything more expensive. Energy is sorry, go ahead.
Well, to be fair, in the case of San Francisco, unions make riding the bus more expensive and riding BART more expensive. But I get your point. You're
all of it.
Correct. Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, all of it together makes it more expensive for sure. Yeah, it's sort of like, it's akin to, all right, I heard recently, I was listening to a lecture by Russ, I have to, dude, like, I have been trying to remind myself to send you this, and I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
I'm going to look it up right now. But I was listening to a panel discussion from, I think it was a OCON objectivist conference put on by the Ayn Rand Institute back in 2014 or 2015 or something. And it was about the finance industry. And they were talking about, and I think this is what this is from, this analogy. I could be wrong, though. The analogy is that the finance industry is like the circulatory system of the body, where it, extremities that are at risk, it cuts off blood. It sends blood to places where oxygen is vitally needed and this sort of thing, right? And, so if the finance industry is the circulatory system of the body, the energy industry is the blood itself. And so, like, you could also call it the food of your, food for your body, this sort of thing. Like, when you make energy more expensive, like, that makes it so much more expensive for everybody involved. And in the case of California, it's especially pertinent to the impoverished. When you think about this like 16, 17, 18-year-old kid who doesn't have a college degree, and a lot of our dear listeners are in Texas, you think about when you bought a car when you were 16, what you had to go through to do that. You had to save your money. You had to get a job. You had to save your money, and eventually you could afford a car. I mean, how in the hell can you afford a car in the climate in California, the regulatory climate?
No shit,
under this
right?
sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So,
that's
like
exactly it. This is another regulation dropped by the Trump administration. It's fantastic. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no worry. I was going to say, the last thing I was going to say is, like, so this is sort of like telling the most impoverished people in California, you're only allowed to buy organic grass-fed beef. You can no longer buy mass-produced corn-fed beef. You can only buy organic, expensive grass-fed beef. And Trump is stepping in and saying, no, that doesn't fly. Not everybody can afford that. Sorry.
Right.
That's what this is.
Right. That's exactly right. Exactly it.
All right, dude, I have to find this for you. I'm going to queue it up and we're going to drop it on the show, man, because you are going to love this. And our particular dear listener out there in California, in San Francisco.
Yeah, I know what you're looking for. All right.
No, dude. What is it?
No. Well, you go ahead and search. I've got one last article to read about Californication. Yeah. So Trump says he will slap San Francisco with environmental violation over homeless problem, according to the Daily Caller. Here it goes from the lead. It goes thus. President Donald Trump announced Wednesday that he plans to hit San Francisco with an environmental violation over the pollution and trash caused by the city's homelessness problem. The president told reporters on Air Force One that the EPA will be sending out a notice within a week that San Francisco is in violation of regulations because of the amount of pollution flowing into the oceans. It's a terrible situation. That's in Los Angeles. That's in San Francisco. And we're going to be giving San Francisco, they're in total violation. We're going to be giving them a notice very soon. Very soon. EPA is going to be putting out a notice. They're in serious violation. San Francisco has experienced an 18% rise in homeless individuals in the city since 2015. And the issue is causing the streets to be littered with trash, feces, and use needles. An interactive map. Okay, we already know about all that. So, Luke, not only is he dropping emission regulations, he is hitting San Francisco with an EPA violation.
Dude, that's so brilliant.
This is God tier, dude. It is God tier, man. Weaponizing the government in the opposite direction as it's always weaponized. Oh, man. This president, dude, I just sit back and laugh, man. I just sit back and laugh. You know, Mr. President, listen, we know you listen to the show. When you do wrong, the HSP boys are going to call you out about it. But lately, Mr. President, you have been doing so right. And the HSP boys are also going to shout you out when you do right, unequivocally. So, yeah. All right, what you got? You found it yet?
Yep, I got it.
All right.
Okay, I've got it. Yep, I'm sending it to you right now, dude.
All right.
So this is John Allison. He is the former CEO of BB&T Bank. And BB&T Bank was one of the only banks that refused the bailout money in 2008, and they forced him to take it.
Yeah, that's right.
And now he
Wells
runs
Fargo and maybe one other bank. Yeah.
Yeah, and now he's head of the Cato Institute.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Huh. And dude, super awesome, dude. And here he's talking about how it's legal to use gold as a tender on the state level, but regulations forbid you from doing that. And then he goes into a story that you are going to love, and so will this dear listener in San Francisco.
Oh my God! Oh, I know who you're. Okay, our boy. Or you're talking about our boy. Okay,
yeah, our boy.
All right. Here we go. It's queued up, right?
Yeah, it's probably about 2 to 3 minutes in total.
Okay, all right. Here it cometh, dear listener. Enjoy.
I think they will be competitive, and I think we'll get around them because it's chasing a moving target, and it'll sneak up on them like FedEx did. Now, one of the interesting things is what the obstacles are a lot different than most people, because we've done a lot of research on this. Under the Constitution, states are allowed to coin gold coins. And if a state, North Carolina, did gold coins, very quickly it would drive the U.S. government out of business. But the reason it can't is that the IRS has decided that when you buy a gold coin, when you sell it, if you trade it, you have to keep a record and you have to pay taxes. Well, at first, it's not practical. Keep records every time you trade it, and second, you got to pay taxes on the gains. So it's not that the Constitution is specific that says you can do gold coins by states. States have tried to do it, but it doesn't ever work because who can keep the tax records on every coin you trade around? So they've used the IRS, which they often do. Let's say exactly what they did in Obamacare, to actually subvert the Constitution. You will find this interesting.
Here we go, Russ.
I don't think this person would mind this, but I'll say it anyway. I had a private conversation with, I had dinner with Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice. And we were just, when I'm running Cato, and we were just shooting the bull. And out of the blue, Clarence Thomas says, well, of course the Federal Reserve's unconstitutional.
Dang.
Of course. And I said, well, I totally agree. I said, do the rest of the Supreme Court justices know that? He said, of course. I said, will they do anything about it? And he said, of course not.
Of course not yet, right? I mean, I'd like to tag on. One of the tones of the conversation is how horrible, how hopeless this is. And, the question about...
The Federal Reserve is unconstitutional. It is the definition of unconstitutional. It is the duty of the House of Representatives to print our currency, not a private bank. So... Dang, man, dropping the red pills right and left, man. Wow.
Dude, you should watch
that very much.
You should watch this whole talk. This whole talk is like that, start to finish.
All right.
It's an hour.
Well, all right, I'll do it. Thank you for sending it to me, man. Way to go, John Allison. Dropping the red pills right and left,
dude, Justin Clarence Thomas. Yeah. So you're telling me the Fed's unconstitutional? Of course. And everyone else thinks, yeah, of course. So will they do anything about it? Of course not.
Yeah. Man, this was one of my topics on bots that I was going to talk about. And I don't want to get into it now. I'll save it for bots because at the moment it is a bot. It's not top of the stack stuff. But there is a lot of business going on with the Fed this week, the Federal Reserve, a lot of business. And it's really, really interesting. That was topic one. You know, Luke, we keep promising, dear listener, that we're going to do this deep dive on the Fed, and we've never done it. You know what I mean? We have to pencil out some time.
I mean, dude, that is probably my weakest area is like Federal Reserve, interest rates, all this crap. Like that's my weakest area. And I fully recognize I need to brush up on that. Not just brush up, but red pill on that. But it just seems
I'm pretty good with it, but man, we can get Daniel-san to come handle this for us. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, Daniel-san can come on and tear it up.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed, like I'm sure he could. I don't know. For me, like, the reason I've never put the energy into it is because I moved past economics so quickly, you know?
Right.
So it's like I'm much more interested in learning philosophy because I passed through economics so quickly that I'm not terribly interested in learning about about the Fed and not necessarily the finance industry, but like the Federal Reserve and this sort of stuff. It seems like very Ron Polish surface level economics sort of stuff when I'm more concerned about philosophy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, no problem. I mean, for the record, Ron Paul did name his son Rand after Ayn Rand. So there's that.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I mean, I don't want to write it off as unimportant, and trivialize it, but.
Well, I was never into it. I somehow escaped taking economics in college, right? And I got red-pilled about economics when the 2008-2009 collapse happened and the bailouts and all this kind of stuff. That's when Zero Hedge was created, and that is really Zero Hedge taught me about economics, or at least taught me the stuff to look at where I could educate myself about economics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I like it, but I don't know. Economics, dude, it's so simple. Philosophy is so difficult. Economics is actually pretty simple. You know what I mean? Shit in, shit out, right? Gold in, gold out, right?
Yeah, I mean, you learn like a few basic principles in economics, like especially Austrian.
Supply, demand.
I mean, everyone thinks Austrian economics is super complicated in this. I mean, it's once you understand it, you're like, oh, it's sort of like computer programming. And like you look at it and you're like, oh my God, that's just crazy complicated. And then once you understand how it all comes together, you're kind of like, okay, it's seems complicated, but it's not that complicated,
Right. Yeah. That's exactly it.
They just scored, huh?
Yeah.
I was trying to, contain my frustration over Auburn scoring as I'm explaining why Austrian economics is not that difficult to understand. It's a very, very conflicted emotional state there.
Yeah. I get it.
Austrian economics is not that. Son of a bitch, they just scored.
Oh God.
Well, do we call that game? I know, dude. I always remember at the game, I was always the first one that was like, well, that's game. All right. Can we stop watching and start drinking?
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, man, I'm old school, right? So like I stand, well, not right now while we're recording, but I stay till the end of the game. All that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what it used to be, dear listener. Like, you're an Aggie, you do not leave the football game, even though you're losing 93-0. You don't lose. Or leave, rather. You know what I mean? You stay, and enjoy the punishment, because there were decades of dark years in Aggie football history. And, anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm old school like that,
Yeah, I know, man. I mean, for me, it's just like, I'm just so used to it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
aren't we all?
Dude, I grew up watching A&M games from as young as I can remember. And, it's, A&M is losing pedigree, it seems like.
In football only.
Only, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, you've got the 94 season and you've got, you know, all those seasons before that. So I guess it's not that long ago. I mean, that's like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 25 years, but even then it's like we go undefeated and that's the season where we're not eligible.
Yeah. 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 But man, you've also got Johnny Football. The year Luke and I met for the first time, Johnny Football is in the saddle and makes us great again because Johnny was going to win. That's it. Johnny.
No, that wasn't the year that we met. That was the year that we like became good friends.
Yeah, that's true. We met the year before. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember talking to you because I was like, hey man, dude, who's this guy? Is like, you seem really amped up about him. And then you red pilled me on Johnny Football. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. And then we like kind of, you know, I was like, okay, and we bonded over that, you know?
Yeah.
We started watching the games and then it was like another year or two. Well, then you started lifting weights with me and Robert.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, Robert left. And then that's when we started hanging out a bunch.
Yeah. Forging HSP in the fires of fiery debate. You know, that's how it went. Although we didn't really, we did debate sometimes, but there wasn't a whole lot we disagreed about at that point in time.
No.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
I mean, you were there for me when my calamari got stolen by that seagull.
That certainly was. Yeah, I was, man. Yeah, I was there for you, man. And yeah.
I was so looking forward to that calamari, dude. I turn around, there's a seagull just devouring it.
Yeah, yeah. And do you know where we were at when that happened? We were at Pier 14, where Kate Steinle was murdered. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I'm sorry, casual victim of gun violence.
Yeah,
not murdered. Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. That's where we were at. Yeah.
I mean, I was a casual victim of seagull violence. So.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were, man. Yeah, man. That was really effed up, man. I when it happened, I was like, we're there at the water in the bay, right? And I look back and I was like, shit, man, this seagull's got your calamari. And Luke turns around. He's like, oh shit, what do we do? I was like, well, let's go chase his ass off. And he flew away with it, I think, if I remember.
Nah, dude, he like. You know, because it was in a to-go box, and that seagull grabbed the side of it and dumped it all into the water, and then flew off. I was like, "Dude,
that's it.
You just first you eat my calamari, and then you dump it all into the water."
Yeah. That's it. Oh man, that was a black pilling day, dear listener.
Maybe that squid that I was eating was like that seagull's buddy or something.
Yeah.
They were like friends.
Yeah.
Dude, I have to ask you something. Did you hear about Jordan Peterson going to rehab?
No. For what?
Klonopin addiction.
Klonopin? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Klonopin addiction.
Antidepressant. Dang.
Yeah, it was apparently over his wife. She had a terminal diagnosis for cancer.
Yeah, she did. That's right.
She made a miraculous recovery. And during that time, Jordan Peterson started taking Klonopin. So she recovered, and then now he's addicted to antidepressant.
Damn.
And
that makes me sad.
So then he went to rehab, and his daughter made a video and said he looks like a lost puppy dog.
Huh.
And that's why I went to rehab. But, she was like, he's fine. He'll go to rehab. He'll get off. He tried to get off of it on his own, but apparently it has like terrible physical consequences. So
it does.
I think he's going to a medical facility, not because he's not capable of getting off of it as a matter of willpower, but as a matter of physical abilities. Like he needs to get treated physically to get off of it.
Man, wow. Man, that's awful. That's absolutely awful. Huh. Well, I'm Godspeed, Jordan Peterson. I mean that, we often disagree, but man, I wouldn't wish that upon Jordan Peterson, not by a damn sight. And Luke, I have to tell you, I have personal experience with someone formerly very close to me, actually still very close, a dear listener on this trail who had problems with Klonopin, and that's a fact. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. Everyone's got some skeletons in their closet. That's for sure. But I mean, this isn't even a skeleton, it's I couldn't even imagine. It's really weird, dude. Like I don't know, when you're a bachelor, you're just kind of doing your thing, but it's like when you're married, it's just things change a little bit. And I'm sure they change a lot more when you have kids too. We don't for sure. We don't have any kids, but I mean I don't know, dude. When you're married, things change.
Yeah.
Because you just can't imagine your life without that other person,
Right.
You're so, I don't want to say entrenched because that's like a negative connotation, but you're so tied to that person. They're so integrated into your life that the idea that that's gone is truly terrifying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I can say from just even thinking about such a thing, is not even something I would want to think about. It's just it's unthinkable,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't view this as any sort of like moral shortcoming on his part. Although I don't know, dude. I think I would just deal with it, honestly.
That's what I would do.
Yeah,
I would never take a psychotropic drug. Period.
Yeah,
I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't care. So
I don't know. Maybe I do view it as like, I mean, but at the same time, it's like I don't view him as being morally.
Same here.
Yeah. I don't necessarily. I don't think less of him necessarily, but I would not have done that with myself. Like I would have just dealt with the pain. I would, and this is the thing: is like when something like that happens, the best way to deal with it is to embrace the pain, embrace it, embrace the sorrow, embrace the sadness, embrace the pain, immerse yourself in it, bathe yourself in it, blanket yourself in it until it goes away. That's the best thing that you can do.
Yes, sir.
When you start trying to cope with it, then you're just evading, it's there. The pain is there. The cause of the pain is there. If you try to evade it, then you haven't dealt with it. You have to deal with it emotionally.
Right. Yep.
Which is actually kind of shocking considering he's a psychologist. Like he should know this,
Right. Absolutely. I was just thinking that, man. Yeah, it really truly is, And he's so smart. He knows he's not a pharmacologist, but he knows a lot about pharmacology. And so he would know the risks of doing this, he would. So I do not judge him. I have no value judgment, but man, I don't know many cases where that shit doesn't wreck somebody. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. That's it.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not, a statistician. I'm not a psychologist, but I mean, anytime you are doing something to evade your emotions, to numb yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, and, unless you're in Auschwitz, or unless you're in a North Korean gulag or a Russian gulag or a Chinese re-education camp, I mean, in those sorts of scenarios, just all bets are off. Just do whatever the hell, like heroin, who cares? You're not even going to survive anyway. So just live the rest of your life out in numbed bliss, who cares? But, when you're still living in a free society, you still have potential. You can still operate under free will. You have a moral responsibility to yourself and honestly to your kids and your wife as well to, not evade. You need to embrace that. You need to deal with it no matter how painful it is. I don't know, man. I'm actually, now that we're talking about it, I'm a little bit surprised that Jordan Peterson would take that path. Because
based on what he has said, yes, I am too. I don't judge him, but I'm surprised.
Yeah. Especially his whole chaos and order thing. I mean, when you evade reality, you create chaos. It doesn't matter if you do it via drugs or you do it willingly.
Right.
I mean, I've been watching a lot of Steve-O lately, which is really funny. And I've actually become a huge fan of sober Steve-O. And he's like, a lot of people, that have drinking problems and substance abuse problems. He's like, when something goes wrong, they use that as an excuse, like their wallet gets stolen. They're like, okay, my wallet got stolen. Now I'm going to go have a beer. My wallet. And he's like, you know what? Like, your wallet got stolen. You've got one problem. And then you've got substance abuse problems. So you're going to go abuse substances again. He's like, you had one problem. Now you just created two.
Right.
And he's like, I know it feels better and you don't have to think about it in the meantime, but you had one problem and now you have two. And like, I view this as the same thing. Jordan Peterson had one problem and then he, I don't know who prescribed. I don't know. Can a psychologist prescribe themselves?
No, they cannot. No,
okay.
They have to go to they have to go to a psychiatrist who is an MD. Yeah, they can't.
Okay.
They don't have.
So somebody else prescribed him this. Yeah. But I mean, they prescribed him a problem. Literally.
Right.
Prescribed him a problem.
Yeah.
Man, that's got to be a weird situation. Like being Jordan Peterson and going to a psychologist and explaining to them why you need psychotropic antidepressants.
Yeah.
I don't want to make light of the situation, again, based upon everything we talked, but it's like, I know I'm the leader of, meaning, and I've written books and this and that and blah, 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 but I'm gonna need, an antidepressant.
Right.
I know I'm the cultural leader on how to deal with difficulty and hardship, but I'm going to need an antidepressant.
Yeah.
It's like, man, how does that even work, dude? Like, it makes me wonder if that's like a professional relationship or if you had to go in there, like, truly that upset. And I don't know, dude. It's a weird situation.
Yeah, it is, man. It's really sad, dude. It's really, really, really sad. So I don't know, man. Godspeed, Jordan Peterson. Good luck in your recovery, and HSP Boys will be here for you when you get back. That's straight up the fact,
Indeed.
Now we wonder why ThinkSpot hasn't been going down. Now we know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, indeed, man. So. All right, dude. I'll tell you what, man. Rather than take a third break, let's cover one more topic and call the show. What do you say?
All right. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. What you got? I've got there. Let's do two. Okay. I'm going to read some bullet points from a Daily Caller piece, and we left this unspent ammo on the table. The title of the piece is Ilhan Omar deletes 2013 post that revealed her father's name. Only the bullet points go thus. This dropped on the 17th. Here it goes from the top thusly. During the early morning hours Tuesday, Representative Ilhan Omar deleted a 2013 tweet saying that Nur Saeed is her father. Omar was married to a man named Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi, who may be her own brother, is her own brother. In Somalia, one's name is normally a first name, the father's name, and then the grandfather's name. Other family members have also tried to scrub social media evidence. Okay. So what ended up happening, dear listener, is that this Instagram photo with Ilhan Omar saying, oh, here's my Abba, my inspiration, my father, Nur Saeed, right? What it did was that it proved that she was married to her brother, Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi, okay? And then that tweet was deleted, right? Or rather, that Instagram post was deleted. Well, it had already been archived before that happened, right? It was already archived, and it is out there for everybody to see. And everybody now knows that Ilhan Omar married her brother in an act of immigration fraud and also probably tax fraud. Certainly all kinds of fraud just in that one incident alone, right? Islam fraud.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. That's my last bot, man. What you got?
Oh, dude, we should cover the climate.
Yeah.
The global climate. Greta Thunberg.
Yeah. Greta of Arc.
Greta of Arc.
We should. Yeah, we should. All right, let's do it. So, what did you think about this strike, dude? I was kind of lolling and I was kind of pissed off all at the same time. What did you think?
Well, honestly, the thing that grinds my gears the most is, I told you about that offsite that we had on Thursday. And,
yeah,
dude, one of the guys that we were with, he was like, yeah, my daughter's teacher called, or they sent an email and they said that, some parents or some teachers might want to participate in the climate march. So we would ask your patience if your child is not in class on Friday. So in Europe, it was ubiquitous. It was even understood that it's fine for teachers to take their children out there. So full on brainwashing status.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at an article here, and man, I've argued, I do this a lot. I run exercises in my head about if somebody says something, how do I respond to that? And we had a dear listener write us many, many, many episodes ago, several months ago, asking us for like arguing points. And like, you need to educate yourself and you need to argue with yourself in your own head. That's the best way to do it. Have inner dialogue is the best way to do it. Well, that's not the best. I mean, have inner dialogue, but then go actually apply it. That's the best way to do it. All right. So I've got a Breitbart piece here titled Nolta. Climate experts are 0-41 with their doomsday predictions. For more than 50 years, climate alarmists in the scientific community and environmental movement have not gotten even one prediction correct, but they do have a perfect record of getting 41 predictions wrong. In other words, on at least 41 occasions, these so-called experts have predicted some terrible environmental catastrophe was imminent, and it never happened. And not once, not even once, have these alarmists had one of their predictions come true. Think about that.
Yep.
The so-called experts are 0-41 with their predictions, but those of us who are skeptical of quote-unquote expert prediction number 42, the one that says that if we don't act immediately to convert to socialism and allow AOC to control and organize our lives, the planet will become uninhabitable. The article goes on, but that's the essence of it. There used to be a website. I'm really bummed. It was called lowerwolfjaw.com, and they had a catalog of every New York Times article, every public newspaper article, cataloged all the way going back to 1900. Like, this has been going on way longer than 40 years. We're going on 100 years, if not more, of wrong predictions.
Yeah.
And, I've been thinking about this. It's like, there's an analogy, but the analogy is not quite sufficient. The analogy is that if somebody approaches you and says, hey, maybe Russ, I used this on a previous show, but it's okay using it again. If somebody says, I want you to invest money in my investment fund, my hedge fund, whatever. And you say, okay, cool. Well, your response would be, all right, well, if you want me to invest money, show me your track record. And they say, okay, cool. Here's my track record. And you're like, wow, okay. Your track record is that you've gotten everything wrong from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, but this investment, we're going to get it right.
Right.
So, well, no. I mean, for 100 years, you've lost people's money. Yeah, but this time it's going to be right. You would never do that. But that's
so sharp.
But
man.
that's
such a good analogy.
Right,
Yeah.
but that's a positive analogy. This is not even applicable because it's actually a negative analogy. The real analogy is somebody saying, hey, you've invested money and you've made $1 million. And if you don't divest it, you're going to lose a bunch of it.
Right.
And then you say, well, what is your track record on that? And they say, well, I've gotten it wrong. So you're saying, okay, I've made a much money. I'm much more well off. I'm much more prosperous. And now you're saying I should sacrifice that lest I lose it all. And you've been wrong for 100 years. So one of them is like, do I gain a positive or not? I'm risking a positive, I'm risking something. The other one is I've already made the positive and I'm risking its current existence against a future non-existence. So you know what I mean? It's fundamentally a different analogy entirely.
Yeah. Yeah. What you're talking about right now is why we now talk about climate change. Oh my God. Rather than what it used to be was global warming. Because when they were talking about, oh my God, global warming, oh my God, we went through a cooling phase. Now they have to talk about climate change in order to extract more taxes from you, dear listener. That is all this is.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
It's for years it was global cooling, global warming, global cooling, global warming. After about 80 years, they were like, oh, well, now it's just climate change. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah. Make it as generic and general and as imprecise as possible because the left thrives in imprecision.
Yeah. All right, dude, we should call this episode.
Yeah, let's go die like proper men. It's 21-3. We got 5:42 in the third. You want to watch this game together after we hit the red button? You want to?
Yeah, dude, for sure.
You want to do that?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, dear listener, thank you so much for riding along with us. 55 miles in the books, 55 episodes in the books. Thank you so much. We're going to set up camp right now. We're going to watch the Aggies lose. We're going to cook some food. We're going to pass around the flask, and we're just going to get comfy, as comfy as possible.
Indeed, brother.
All right, Luke. All right, great show, man. I will.
Dude,
see you
what are we having?
Wednesday,
what are we having
definitely.
for dinner tonight? Really quick.
Barbecue for sure. I've got some beef jerky here. I've got. Let me see. I've got some beaver nuggets from for dessert only from Buc-ee's. I've got some beaver nuggets. You know what? I've got some macaroni salad here. All right,
I'm craving some sourdough biscuits.
Good. All right, good. I got some bacon. And beans. Yeah.
All right. Well, all right.
We're set.
We're set. We got our dinner here, dear listener.
All right, dear listener. Luke and I will be back at you before you know it. Luke, great show, man. Great show.
Great show, brother. Till next time, dear listener. Till Wednesday.
All right. Till Wednesday, indeed. 4 days. 4 meager days. And we will be back at you right then, dear listener. All right, Luke, you take care of yourself, brother.
All right, you too, man. Peace.